Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
SOR headquarters. Had a 1.5 feet of snow fall overnight last night. Not pleasant. Not pleasant. All my hard work through the day that was, all for nothing. R Keith Andrews finishes off the week here with some strong, heavy woo and the ET connection. Come on. I am having one of those fucking nights. Pardon my language. Here we go. Race fan in the gold medal position. Big J in the silver with the gorgeous Cosmic Fleur taking home the bronze tonight. Grand Paul Holland, K-Man, good to see you both. Thank you for coming on in. Nilbog Lort, Patty B, Mama Susan, how are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. The gorgeous Kathy Evans, the lovely Patty B, and there's our Keith Andrews in the chat room. Jurassic Joey is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Thank you so much, Thomas Fessler, for kicking off the super chat tonight. If you haven't subscribed to Disclosure tonight and Thomas Fessler's channel, you are missing out. He's a beautiful setup for me each and every night. Downshift, how you doing, man? The gorgeous Thin Lizzie Borden, good to see you. Nikki, looking lovely in Seattle. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Millennium, good to see you, man. Thank you for coming on in. Nightmare, Terry Brown, good to have you here. Bio, what is up? Bio, by the way, we'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, to the right. Richard Elmore's here, the stunning Steph Dickey, gorgeous DM. She is our Red Deer Rebel. She is here tonight. Nice to have you here. And Elliot D. Little Marky Spender, what's happening, buddy? How's Little Marky Spender? Where's Baxter? Hey, Baxter. Can't even whistle tonight. My Lord. All right, I'm just moving on. Here. Fidgety Aura, the gorgeous Jessica McCreary, Football Cat, welcome. The gorgeous Melissa Nicole, Noble Patrick, the stunning Boom, the beautiful Bama, right there. Boom. The gorgeous Oracles, nice to have you here. Nicola, good to see you. Chad Smith, the Chad Smith has returned. Ryan Middleton, good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. The gorgeous Sonia's News, nice to have you here. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Nice to see you. Ross Smith, nice to have you back. Kevin, nice to see you here. And let's see here. I didn't get a chance to snowblow today, Little Marky Spender. Some of us work for a living. The gorgeous Char Naughton, welcome back. And who else is here? Pete O'Hara, the Michael Leger, everyone. The Michael Leger. Ian Herndon, good to see you. Damian K, Project Blue Book, and B, welcome. The gorgeous Teresa, thank you for joining us. Daryl Zernick, nice to see you as we continue on with roll call here. Bonjour, Jean-Paul. It's been a while. How you doing? Comment ça va? Hi, Sparkles. Nice to have you here. All right, moving on. Elliot D, I think I said you already. Navajo, nice to see you. The stunning Xochitl Paez. The Quick, how you been? Good to have you back. And there's Uncle Dale in his power stash. If you're in Austin, Texas, and you see Uncle Dale rub his power stash for good luck right through tax time, All right, moving on here. Who else has joined us? Jerry Weisky, welcome to our channel. And I think we're caught up. There's awesome Arlene Adkins-Zell. Spooky Morales and his trumpeter here. Thank you for everyone who has hit subscribe. We're at 14,500. Here we go with the show. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Yes, it is almost time to blow the horn as the Woo train is about to roll with R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. We will get to that momentarily. Get your questions ready. Well, by the way, if you're in the chat rooms, put them in capital letters. Then in hour 3, we will bring you a story from the swamp with our good buddy Swamp Dweller. The fedora-wearing John Hudson has the latest in UFO news. We got Shirky Poo's news and the thought of the day of a jam-packed show tonight. And, of course, near the beginning of each month, we are joined by the man, the myth, and the legend, R Keith Andrews. He's an ET Contactee who comes in once a month to discuss the purposes of aliens, ET contact, and what the heck are they doing here on Earth. Keith is not only an ET Contactee, also highly intuitive. His gifts have helped him help others for more than 30 years. Keith proclaims he has been in touch with more than 50 extraterrestrial species since childhood. He's a near-death experiencer as well, my good friend R. Keith Andrews. Happy New Year to you, buddy. How you been?
Happy New Year to you and everybody else as well. It's been a bit of a shall we say hectic start, but we're still breathing. So,
well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I want to announce to our audience here, if you something, if you don't mind. I found out during the show last night, I actually found out that I have been asked to speak in February 25th through 27th at UFOCon 2022 in San Francisco, California. And
I do hope you accepted.
Of course I did. Of course I did. When Lorian Fenton calls, I usually will always take that call. Actually, it's 100% of the time I will take that call. And Lorian has asked me to come down. But for our Spaced Out Radio listeners, there may be another surprise to that. Because I strongly believe there may be the opportunity of Lynn Wallington, our weekend host, also speaking at that event as well. So February 25th through 27th, we're going to be at UFOCon 2022. It's UFOCon2022.com. You can get your tickets right now, and you have an opportunity to hang out with myself and potentially, and I'll wrap this up by the weekend, and we'll find out, Lynn Wallington speaking there as well. So sorry, Keith, for jumping in on your event.
You do recall this is your show, but thanks for the apology anyway.
I know, but you know I love you, man. And I take it time. I do. I had to, steal that 2 minutes there. How was your Christmas and New Year's? Was it good? Was it fun? I know you got to spend it with your loving sons.
I did so. The night Christmas didn't go as well as I would have liked. I mean, it was a lot of fun with the family. but there were complications that I personally ran into. New Year's was the same as every New Year's. I mean, heck, even when I had the stroke a few years ago, I was out of the hospital to come home and play Dungeons and Dragons on New Year's Eve.
Well, it's very true, very true. But you're not really a guy for the holidays, are you? You're not a holidays kind of guy.
I do like Christmas, but do I spend a lot of time around it? No. The reason being, I grew up knowing what was under the tree, so I found it much more enjoyable to surprise other people.
You like the role of Santa Claus.
Honestly, I actually do. I mean, I won't even let Christmas songs and Christmas movies go on in the house until December 1st.
Me either. We got that very, very equal on our parts. Well, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. I mean, for people who may not know you, we have to reintroduce you each time we are here. And you are somebody who is a lifelong ET contactee. What's it like growing up in that type of environment?
Well, it was, in a nutshell, it was a nightmare. I mean, if you think about it, I grew up in a small town, military base, right in the middle of the Bible Belt of BC. Being abducted, dealing with psychic phenomenon, and that was just normal for me. So, of course, throw the my labs in on top of that, and now we've got a problem. So, for anybody that's going, well, I feel a little out of kilter or a little out of sync with people, I can relate to them all too well. The one saving grace of the whole thing was that Dad confirmed everything on his deathbed. So was it a trying time? The answer is absolutely yes. Didn't get very close to people because the few I did get close to, I'd usually get hurt by, as in bullied, that sort of thing. There were a few that stood out as not being that way, but the majority of them were not fun to live around.
Growing up in central British Columbia like you did, and then, kind of moving all around because your father was in the military, was there ever talk of UFOs, ETs?
Well, that's the funny part. Number one, it was Western BC, but much more importantly, in the 12 years we were on the island, Dad never came up for transfer once. Right. I actually didn't move around a whole lot.
Well, you were lucky then.
Well, lucky in one sense. On the other hand, I ended up spending a lot of that time in my labs. But was there ever any talk about UFOs? Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, my house, you go to the end of the airport runway, go about 100 yards, you hit the tree line. Our house was on the other side of that tree line. So you saw a lot of really weird things. But we talked about it a lot.
Okay, so what was one of those family discussions like when you were talking about UFOs and aliens?
Well, I believed wholeheartedly in them, and of course, because of the fact I could see them, I would try talking about them, and I'd immediately get told to keep that sort of thing quiet because people won't accept it well. And as it turned out, Dad was right on that one. They didn't. I was always at odds with Mom and Dad because I'd say this was real. This is what's going on. And they'd tell me it was all in my imagination. Net result, I spent a lot of time talking to shrinks. Which worked out well and left me to be able to look at me and not worry about them. But it wasn't like we would sit down and go, oh, here's what the drive looks like. I mean, the fact that I knew how my older brother had a phenomenal mind. And even he would look at it and go, no, you don't know what you're talking about. But when I laid out the schematics for a couple of people for the oscillatory densification, for the OTE drive, which stands for oscillatory densification of tritranslocation electropolarity, it took about 2 hours to explain it because I'm not a scientist. You know, my dad used to he'd kind of brush things aside and tell me to keep it quiet and don't talk about it. Mom pretty much did the same thing. You know, so it wasn't really until I got a lot older. Actually, in all fairness, yeah, when I met you, I had only been really out in public about what I was going through for a couple of years.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things, Keith, where you have to find your own comfortability with the subject, and I think for a lot of people out there, the big problem that we have is we want to be able to talk about these and our own experiences, but we don't want other people to know. This is where we seem to get into the emotion of it, the embarrassment of the subject that I've seen UFOs or I have seen aliens, Keith. I mean, how do we get through that fear of talking about this subject when the world is so critical?
Well, I'm happy to say one of the ways of getting used to that is, quite frankly, by coming on this show. And there's a couple others that are really good at it. But I find a lot of people that come on here seem to open up a lot more because, quite frankly, on the Spaced Out Radio here, you have a tendency of taking everybody and going, okay, that's what you're going through. Well, we're not going to talk down. Let's see if we can find an answer for you. Most people, they brush it off and just tell you you're absolutely off your nut. But it really does take finding that one person. And this is why I tell people, if you don't get an answer from me here, on any of my videos, you'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Drop a question. I'll do my best.
Well, we'll get to the questions here momentarily as they start to build up. But for you, my friend, as you have kind of gone through this entire process and built up your strength to be public, how do you deflect the negativity?
Oh, that's easy. You just tell people, look, I wasn't telling you to convince you or to prove to you what was going on. This is just what I go through. You get to have your experience. You get to have your opinion. If they get really bad and really, really aggressive with me, I'll usually, if they catch me in the right mood, I'll just look at them and go, do you feel better now? And of course, they look at you and go, what do you mean? I says, well, the way you're treating me makes me feel like garbage, so I'm hoping it's doing something for you. But admittedly, I've got more of a sarcastic and shall we say, cynical outlook on life at this point. I think most people do.
Yeah, I think we all do. Let's just be honest right now. But for those of us who are ET contacts, and that we want to be able to have good dialogue and conversation about this in order to learn about what we've gone through, where does one start?
Well, you start with one issue, and that is accepting the fact that first and foremost, it is possible what you're going through. It's not just in your imagination. But while you're doing that, remember to look for that one piece of information or that one experience that may derail the whole thing. You always look for the logical answer first. But finding people that can corroborate what you've been through is absolutely imperative to really coming to terms with it. Otherwise, you're just questioning, is this my imagination or what?
Very true. But how do we tell imagination and dreams from reality?
I actually asked that question of a number of professionals. And the invariable answer was, if you're looking at a memory, okay, if the emotion is, number one, age appropriate, and the emotion is situationally apparent, then you're looking at, in all likelihood, a real memory. And again, when you're trying to describe it, if you're remembering something from your childhood, like when it first happened with me, and I started explaining what I was looking at, I remember being in a room with a wall full of wheels that were, whirring wheels and dials and flashing lights. And that's all it was to me. It wasn't until I got much older that I realized what I was sitting in was the inside of a computer mainframe room. And all of those were computers all the way around. I'd never seen a computer at that time.
Well, I mean, hey, it's what you do. It's what you do. I mean, you have to be able to learn and advance at your own way. I mean, that's actually a good point there, Keith. Let me delve into that here for a second, because for a lot of people out there, Keith, they don't know where to start. They don't know where to get information from, don't know who to trust. I mean, I think for most experiencers, we have to realize that learning about your ET contact is a marathon. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon that is going to take years, decades. And even if you don't have years and decades left, it is going to take time to try and figure things out, isn't it?
It absolutely is. This is something that, people go, well, I want proof. And society has gotten to the point where it is almost a question of instant gratification is required. Right. But it doesn't happen that way with the contact. I mean, the reality is it can be once or it can be dozens of times that you go through it. And I feel for the people that go through it once, because they're left sitting there going, well, was that real or what's the situation? I've just got a different way of dealing with things. That's all. But it's a very long, drawn out process. And the best thing I can suggest to people is, if you've had an experience and you cannot quantify it really, do your best to write it down on paper, as much detail as you can, including the time and the date that you were writing it down. But you write it as soon as possible, because down the road you may be able to look back at it and fill in bits and pieces.
You like to profess to people to keep a journal by their bed.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you and I have been doing this for almost 7 years.
Yeah, we'll be going on 7 years in 2 months, I think.
I do believe so. And I want to ask you, I've never had a journal beside my bed. I just know that if I dream aliens, something has happened, because I don't remember my dreams.
Right.
I'm not that guy. That's how I know, and that's what triggers. But I mean, I know I'm being wild and crazy about it, because I should be there to document what is going on. What is the importance, if you feel you're being contacted, to have a diary or some sort of notebook beside your bed?
That is strictly for your own benefit. Okay, that's so that if it happens today and then a month or two down the road you have another dream, then you've got something to compare it with that is written in real time, as in right after it got written down the first time. When you write it down the second time, you can compare them and see if you're dealing with either with the same race, or you might pick up a different detail, and you can put it all together. It's kind of like trying to put a jigsaw puzzle together without actually knowing what the final puzzle looks like.
Right. Okay. So if that is happening and we're trying to find the pieces to the puzzle, where do we find the pieces?
Well, that's where the dreams come in. Okay, the dreams are the funny thoughts that you may have that it's like, why was I thinking about that? Well, I'm just going to mark that down. Right. But those pieces will show up sometimes in the weirdest places. Like, you might be sitting in a restaurant, and I've had this happen, where I'm sitting in a restaurant and something catches my attention, and it's like, okay, I've seen that image before. So I'll make a quick note of it and I'll add it to my journal later. Right. But it is simply for self-actualization. It is not so that you can go out and all of a sudden try and write a bestseller, because I'll tell you, most people that go through this have no interest in being publicly noticed. Matter of fact, the greater number of them, from my experience, would just as soon not have other people know.
Do the aliens want us to know what's going on?
That's sort of a mixed bag. Part of it is yes, because they know that mankind's civilization has hit that breaking point again, where they're either going to get off this planet and they're going to get along, or they're going to tear themselves apart. Okay, and it's really a toss-up right now. It's not looking good for them. But I mean, from an alien standpoint, this time period is a phenomenal study point, because the socioeconomic impact of what's going on around people right now is really opening the doors to new discoveries. I'm even noticing with a lot of the pictures that are coming out, people are getting more and more clear pictures. Now, I'm no video analyst, so when people send me, it's funny. I get people periodically, they'll send me a little video of a moving light and go, "What ship is this?" I haven't got a clue. You're talking about a spot of light, right? But sometimes people will send a picture of a ship, and it's just clear as a bell what it is.
All right, let's go to questions here. Sandra is going to open things up from Vancouver Island. Do the extraterrestrials follow you only in life, or do they follow you in the afterlife as well? Great question to start off with.
That really is. I've never actually heard that question asked before. But the answer to that question is yes. And here's the real twist to it. Off-worlders, as you know, and many of our listeners know, I refer to the aliens in two categories: off-worlders and ancient races. And the thing is, all of them have their own what humans call mediums. So yeah, they absolutely track people after they pass away. Because sometimes it's not a question of familial generational tracking. Sometimes they're actually tracking the soul. So when somebody's reincarnated in a new body, these guys already have a handle on who you are.
A handle how?
Well, because they see some of what humans call mediums will recognize the soul, will recognize the driver of the body, and they'll be tracking that. So
And that makes sense. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
well, that's okay. I was actually thinking you were about to start joking on something.
No. No, not at all. As we got about 25 seconds here, Keith, we got the questions starting to pile on up here in our chat room on YouTube. And we love it when you're here, man. And I'm so glad that we're continuing this through 2022, where you will be a monthly guest here on Spaced Out Radio for year number 7 going on in just a couple of months. And you've been a great friend of this show, and I know our audience loves you too, man. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We're going to continue with your questions. Anything extraterrestrial, alien, species, contact, abductions, my labs. We're going to get into it all with the man, the myth, and the captain of the Woo Train, R Keith Andrews, here on Spaced Out Radio. Jenny's question will be next. And just want to go through the chat room. Hi, Ollie. How you doing? And Bigfoot Rob, I didn't see if you were coming to Vegas or not. August 22nd or April 22nd to 24th. Nate Rudd and Hallmark will be there. I got confirmation from them today. Hey, there's Super Ben from UFO Garage. His words are strong tonight. Very hard. I love Keith. Yes, Keith, I'm getting a lot of requests from people to see if you're going to come to the SOR Vegas party, April 22nd and 24th.
In all fairness, much as I would love to, there's one glitch in it.
You're not vaccinated to get across the border.
Exactly. And, much as people can do what they will with it, I have absolutely no intention of getting vaccinated unless it becomes legally mandatory.
Right. Well,
but that's just for me personally, because my family's all vaccinated.
We'll send pictures your way. Hello, the gorgeous Simply Coco. Could you give us an update on what you were drinking for tonight's show? $5,900, Mr. Lurks a lot. Good to see you. Ooh, I got a text message from Bigfoot Rob. I'm all giddy right now. Hell yes, bro. Yes. Yes, Bigfoot Rob. I'm taking you straight into Pawn Stars, into the pawn shop, man. Want to see you sign some autographs there. God, I needed some good news tonight. I just had one of those afternoons from about 4 o'clock onward. And it was just one of those days. Just one of those days. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube right there. Jeremy Jones. Yes, Jenny girl, you need to be in Vegas, April 22nd to 24th. We're starting the itinerary. If you are going, I need you to confirm. Going to info@spacedoutradio.com. All right. Confirm that, yes, with your real name. Yes, we will be attending, or I am attending. This is the size of shirt I wear. Because we're putting together swag bags. Right there. There's the email.
Yeah, I got to make sure I get that.
Radio.com. Hi, gorgeous Michelle C. in Australia. Pack Woman on Twitch, looking lovely tonight. JCL, Ohio. How you doing, man? Little Marky Spender. We're going to drag his ass down to Vegas. He's never been. He's a Vegas virgin. Yeah. We're going to drag his ass down there with me. Going to meet all the Bigfoot guys. Sangria with a splash of triple sec. Is Simply Coco going to join us in Vegas? Please let us know, because I would like to know what the drink of the weekend will be. Aiden Gonzalez, what's happening, man? Good to have you back. Which Facebook user said, I want to go to Vegas? I hate it when it doesn't show up like that. Drives me nuts. Where is it here? Let's try this one. Is it in here? Oh, it's Jaretta Osborne. You're invited, Jaretta. Everyone's invited. Everyone's invited. You do not have to ask. Everyone is invited. It is a Spaced Out Radio family party. We're just hanging out. It's not a conference. You know, Ben and Joe from UFO Garage are going to be there. Vintage Beard. Holy cow. Look who it is. Can't do that, Vin. Can't post links outside of the show. That's a YouTube thing. Hey, there's a troll. Let's get rid of that.
I hear fireworks really well on them.
Whose birthday is it?
Jenny's.
All right. Gorgeous Jenny, happy birthday to you. If I would have known, I would sing you happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jenny girl. Happy birthday to you. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We love it when Keith comes on in and tells us all things weird and strange as he guides the Woo train down rails that we have never, ever traveled. You can find him at Inner Voice Enterprises, R Keith Andrews, on Facebook and on YouTube. Keith, welcome back.
And thanks so much for having me, and welcome to all the newcomers.
All right, let's start off with Jenny here. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Jenny. Happy
birthday, Jenny.
She says, I spoke with Travis Walton, a friend of yours, in 2019 about my experience. I asked him if he felt like he was insane. He said, every day of my life, I feel the same. Is it real? Is it the government? Is it your own mind? This is a very deep question, man.
It is. And, the ironic part of it actually is not that ironic. In my case, it has been a fight my entire life. And it's not just every day. It's literally every minute of the day. This is because I have a lot of trouble figuring out why other people don't see it as readily. I'll be sitting there talking to somebody, and all of a sudden I'll stop and I'll walk outside and look up in the air, up in the sky. Now, my family's gotten used to it, but I'm like, this is just not a normal reaction. Apparently, it's a very, very rare reaction. If you feel like you're being followed, apparently most people look behind them at their eye level. In my case, whenever I feel like I'm being followed, my first instinct is to look to the rooftops and look to the horizon.
Okay.
Again, because you question insanity every single day. At least in my case, I did.
So how do you get through that judgment of yourself?
Would you believe me if I said you don't really? You just learn to take it.
No, I think that's a completely honest answer.
You just learn to go, well, this is just the way my life is. The fact that my son is now actually quite content with it at this point. I'll go out on deck and I'll look up at the sky, and when I come back in, my son will go, you're being taken again tonight, aren't you, Dad? It's just normal around my house at this point, which does help.
That's cool. All right, let's go to Kat from Paranormal Heart Podcast. We love Kat around here. She's got a pair of questions for you. Keith, if one would have a camera recording while you sleep, would the ETs know?
Number one, the odds are yes. Number two, because of the triphasic manipulation they use, the cameras don't always pick them up. They vibrate at a really weird phase on occasion, making it really difficult for cameras to work.
Okay. All right. Well, that works for us. Totally works for us. Let's move on here, and let's go to her second part of her question. Are off-worlders watching us like we tag and watch certain wildlife?
Absolutely. And pretty much for the same reason. Although they do look for more detailed information in a lot of cases. But it is the same principle.
Jurassic Joey is wondering, has there been a case of aliens going to take someone, but they put up a fight and the aliens just go, no, that person's not worth it, and leave them alone from there on out?
Absolutely. I've actually had, years ago, I was at an event, and we actually had an attempted abduction, but we intercepted the abduction and put the kibosh on it. And from what I understand, he hasn't had a problem since. Now, in all fairness, I haven't talked to the individual in probably 5 years. But it does work that way on occasion, not often.
All right, let's go over to what's the next question here. $5,900. If the past, present, and future is happening now, how was tomorrow?
Well, that's the nice part. Tomorrow hasn't actually. Tomorrow, you see, the way that saying goes is today is the tomorrow you talked about yesterday, and it will be the yesterday you talk about tomorrow. But it depends on how you handle the rest of today as to how tomorrow turns out. See, the catch with it is this. You can look to the future, you can go to the future, but once you go to the future, you can't come back to tell anybody about it. It's kind of why you can't go into the past to change anything back there.
Very true. Ian is wondering, and good morning, Ian in the UK. ET appears to know our future. Does that mean their future is written?
No, it means they've seen enough civilizations follow this path. This is why it is so important to them right now. Because what it means is they've seen this pattern in multiple civilizations, Earth, mankind civilizations included, where mankind is going down the same path these guys have gone down, and the outcome is pretty simple. There are certain things that just happen. If you put certain ducks in a row, you'll get certain outcomes. There are variables, but the ETs have just seen so many of them many times in their own past. Right. Like if you take a look at the Draconic Empire, it expanded way too fast and had to cut off a number of its outreaching areas in order to stabilize their own civilization. And by doing that, you have the Draconic Empire that stretched for like literally hundreds of thousands of light years. But they expanded too fast, so they cut off a couple of the arms of their empire, which resulted in the Strazazians and Tormenon evolving. Okay, they still got the same route, but they went down two very different roads. But it's the same thing that modern sociologists and archaeologists and what have you do with humans. You look at the past patterns that other civilizations have gone through, and you can get a pretty good idea of where you're heading. The thing that confuses me is mankind knows it's going down an interesting road that could turn into a great setup, or it could turn into an absolute disaster, kind of like what happened at the end of the Roman Empire.
See that happening? I can totally see that.
At this stage, cynical as I am, it would not shock me at all. People are going down an absolutely ridiculous path right now, in my eyes. Of course, in all fairness, I remember the fall of the Roman Empire. And I don't mean I read up on it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on here. Let's get another question in. Over in Australia, we got listeners all over tonight. Grandpa Holland is asking, R. Keith, what is the most comfortable type of ship for us humans to travel in?
Of the off-worlder ships, I suspect, let's see. Well, the Mobian ships would be the most comfortable because the Mobians they originated on Earth, colonized Mobius, and now come back periodically. So they undoubtedly have the most comfortable ships for humans. But Nordic ships are decent. The Greys are a little bit, well, the seating's appalling. For them it works out well, but the seating they have for humans is a whole lot less than enjoyable. But most of the ships, the comfortable ones, that would be those. When you take a look at Radio Command, which is it's part of the Galactic Consortium's communication side. The consortium ships are definitely adjustable for all races. They're designed that way. But when you look at Radio Command, a lot of them are the smaller races, so of course they can be pretty comfortable to ride in.
What's the most uncomfortable?
Oh, the Corlock ship. But the fact of the matter is, the Corlock ship would be fatal for a human to operate in. What the Corlock ship looks like, if you ever saw Space Odyssey 2001, you remember that big ship, the big rectangular ship? In Space Odyssey, it looked like a universe inside a rectangle.
The gorgeous Nicole Sackich wants to know, R. Keith, whose craft looks like a folded tube? She's listening while driving home from work.
Like a folded tube? I'm presuming and she's not going to be.
The phone is on the. All right, Keith is working here, so what we have to do is we have to put him on mute. He's working until the top of the hour, but you know what? We'll try and get to some of those questions as well. So we'll get back to Nicole's question momentarily. And JCL asks, Keith has found someone to help someone that has had many experiences as he. Yes, I can tell you point blank, and I can actually answer that one for Keith. That's because he's helped me. Between him, Samantha Mowat, and my good guru, Pascal, they have literally counseled me, the three, on everything that is going on. And in fact, the time when I had Carl in return, actually both times when I had Carl show up at the house and the studio, Keith was the man who I went to regarding that. And as far-fetched as some of his answers may sound, it is something that is very, very interesting indeed, because he has a very unique perspective of what is truly going on within the ET world. And I don't know how he does it. So, for instance, the first time that Carl showed up at my house, Keith has never been to my house. He didn't know where I lived. And he's like picturing, and I lived in a subdivision. He's picturing my house and my neighbors. And he's like, there's a little slope that kind of goes in between your houses, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, between your houses, maybe 15, 20 feet, because it was pretty tight subdivision. I said, yeah. And he's like, that's where his ship is parked. He had no idea where I lived. No idea that little knoll going down was there. And then fast forward a couple of years when Carl and his buddies returned, when I heard them talking in my yard, Keith called him up. I said, Carl's back. And he's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, I got some action in the yard. And he goes, by the way, have you heard any strange sounds? And I'm like, yes. I said, I've heard them talking. It sounds like, and I make the sound of, just like the movie Signs. And he's like, well, does it sound something like this? And he did this thing with his voice. And I'm like, that's the sound. That's it. And as soon as he made that sound, I heard the sound in my backyard. But he did this croaking thing with his voice. It was so weird. So weird. So yes, Keith, I have used many, many times about trying to translate my own experiences of what was happening. Like the time I fell back into bed, when I woke up, I was like 3 feet above my bed, falling back down. And I literally called up Keith the next day. I'm like, dude, I got taken last night. Told him about the dream that I had happen, and that I was walking up to the craft, in the air, and I was walking literally like I was climbing stairs up to the craft. I kept yelling at him, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm 3 feet above my bed, and I go slamming back down into my bed. Trippy experience, man. And he's like, well, when they start the process of taking you, they can't stop. They have to take you up to the ship all the way and then bring you back down. So because you were in a hurry, they brought you down not as gently as they normally do. So I'm like, okay, well, what happens if you go and they don't take you back up to the ship, but they just take you through the process? He's like, you could die. Come back with missing body parts, whatever the hell they do. I don't know. But either way, that's what it's all about. So R Keith, yes, has helped me. Arlene is asking, hey, Dave, how long did it take for that snow and ice in your beard to melt after that Instagram pic was taken? Oh, not even 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. You start to thaw out very quickly. It's amazing, though, how much your breath can freeze and how much moisture is in your breath. It's awesome. So for people who don't know, I got about 3 feet of snow sitting outside of SOR HQ here. And I snowblowed yesterday, and I got to do it again. That's my weekend project here, is moving snow all weekend. It's not going to be fun. Not going to be fun at all. But, hey, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. There are certain things that need to be done, and snowblowing is one of them. One of them. So that's what we're going to be doing this weekend. And let us move on here as we continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET connection. I know most of the questions are going to be for Keith, but I will do my best to try and answer them for you. Little Marky Spender asking, how much bail money do we need to take to Vegas? Asking for a friend. Buddy, I can tell you that if you get arrested in Vegas during our spaced out radio party, I'm leaving you there. I am. Mark, this would be complete revenge for all those times when you and I go out looking for Sasquatch, and then you telling the audience that you would have no problem popping a gunshot into my leg in order to save your own butt. Wounding me, an innocent man who is unarmed, so that way you could get away. Well, let me tell you something, Sonny, even though you're older than me. By the way, Mark will be turning 50 on January 20th. And yeah, we're going to make fun of him up until then and after. Mark, if you get arrested, if you come down to Vegas and you get arrested down there, which I think you have a better chance of actually winning a jackpot than getting arrested down there. But either way, if you get arrested down there, I'm going to point and laugh. I am totally going to point and laugh. I am going to laugh my ass off pointing at you in handcuffs being hauled away after trying to hide behind some slot machine. I truly will laugh. And the best part about it is I know I'm on speaker where you're listening, and I'm pretty sure that little terror spender has heard me say this. That feels good. That's all I'm going to do. Just point and laugh. Point and laugh. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let's see here. Moving on as we continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET connection. We're just waiting for Keith. Technically, he's on shift until 10 p.m. And usually his phone does not ring while we're doing the show. But if it does, you got to listen to me for a few minutes. And let me see who else we have here. Arlene says, I am convinced that 50% of people labeled crazy are either in contact with ET or conduits for paranormal entities. I've often wondered that myself, Arlene, whether or not people are truly ill or truly in tune with their experiences. I mean, my gosh, we are a psychologist's dream in this field. We just haven't been labeled yet outside of the public. So I think you're actually onto something. I really do. I think there's a good chance that many people who have been institutionalized or labeled actually are contactees, whether it's from extraterrestrials, whether it's paranormal, and they've got maybe jinn or demonic possession or poltergeist activity, whether they have been included in experimentation through My Labs or MK Ultra. I think it's a good hiding place for those who just cannot handle the experience. And it's very true. Very true. So I think that that's kind of where we're sitting on that. It's a very touchy subject because there are a lot of people who do need mental health and need to be assisted with that. Nobody should have to go through that very tough time of any type of mental disease like that or disorder. But I do believe your estimation is right. I'm not sure if it'd be 50%. Maybe it's closer to 40, 30, 20. But I think that you are very correct on that assessment. We got less than a minute to go here. Let's get one more here. And I'll pass over the rest to Keith when we return from the break. Ian is saying, I've never had an experience. What's wrong with me? Believe it or not, Ian, it is all about intention. It is all about intention. What you put out there, you will get back. And sometimes it takes a while. It also helps to hang out with people who are also experienced. It also brings up your vibration to make things happen. So if you have friends who are experiencers, hang out with them. Do a meditation together. Bring up your vibration. Things will happen. But always ask, my friend, always ask for what you want. Don't say anything. I'll take anything. No, that's where it gets dangerous. You want something out of peace, love, and light, man. That's what you do. Peace, love, and light. So there you go. First hour down with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith will return for hour number 2 here in a few minutes. And we'll be back as well, entertaining your questions on Spaced Out Radio tonight. So stay tuned. Bear with me, guys. I just got to turn my heater off. Whew, is it warm in here? There we go. There we go. All right, who did I miss? I missed Brian Drummond. Good to have you back. Philip Baca. Nice to see you. Gorgeous Kim Jellin and Johnny Music. Welcome back. And let's see here. $5,900. Thank you so much for that awesome super chat. Really do appreciate that. I'll put that up in a bit. I got to hold the question here so that way I can remember where I am in the chat room. Super Ray, how you doing? All the way from the Netherlands. Good morning to you, Dutchman. All right. Bio, how you doing? I know you were signing autographs earlier today and after the show. And who else do we have that's come in here? Jeremy Jones, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Really appreciate that as well. I'll put that up on the screen once we get start rolling here. Knight Rider, thank you so much for joining us. And who else has joined us? Devin, Poetically Mistaken. Nice to see you. David S., good to have you here. And let's see who else has joined us. Awesome Man Palmer, how you doing? What's $500, Jenny? What's fine? Oh, you got dumped on from the ceiling too. Awesome Amber's Paraworld. There she is. She'll be a guest later on this month. And when I get taken, I'm always clothed. And Nikki, always clothed. They don't want this naked. They don't want this. Yeah. People don't trust the Timber Hunter. He is dangerous. He is dangerous. Oh, if you guys really knew Timber Hunter, a.k.a. Little Marky Spender, he is one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. One of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm very humbled and proud to be able to call him my best friend. That's for sure. He's an amazing guy. Him and his wife and their beautiful daughter. I love that family so much. And we met right after the fires in 2017. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Yeah. And let's see here. Greg O'Brien, nice to have you here. Game Vet, good to see you. Good morning, Andrew Fricker. Thank you for the clam word there, Desert Clam. Oh, hey, Clam. I like saying, oh, hey, Clam. Let's see. It's Keith. Oh, Keith is almost done. Yeah, she did wake up. She did wake up. She's like, what the hell are you hitting me for? And I was like, I just got dropped into bed. Her and I have been taken once together that I know of. Hi, Witchy. How you doing? Good to see you. And we're just waiting for Keith to wrap up. Will he make it? Will he make it? Well, he just posted. Let's see how he's doing. Let's get a little look in. Look at that. Keith is working the telethon phones like anything right now. He's yelling at this person, ring those phones. ring those phones. Mm-hmm. I want to say a big thank you to Jeremy, $5,900, Smithy, and Thomas for the amazing super chats. And I'll get to your questions here when we come back and make my way backwards here, because I'm gonna leave things like my labs for Keith. Actually, I can answer that one. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Saberation. Saberation is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection happening here on the mighty SOR. Keith comes in near the beginning of each month to talk about all the woo we can take, and he provides it. He is the strength of the woo right here on Spaced Out Radio. So we welcome Keith back here as he'll be just on a quick phone call here. So here we go. Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Good to have you.
And how you doing? I had to shut you off for a second there because they were calling in for minutes. So
that's okay. We had you muted. Yeah, that's all right. You ready to get into some questions from our audience here?
We absolutely are.
All right. Newfie is asking, Keith, can you explain my labs for everyone? Okay, me to refresh my memory.
That's the easy part. And rest assured, 2 years ago, it wasn't that easy. Basically, if you go back to the late 40s, to the 1940s, when the military, when they were running the super soldier programs, and they were theoretically all shut down, they weren't shut down. Okay. They are still being run to this day. And what they do with the kids, well, let me put it this way. I was, 3 and 4 years old and watched 197 of my friends get murdered in front of my eyes just to get the energy running properly. There's a show out called, they came out decades back, called The Men Who Stare at Goats, which is a pretty decent, it's not a bad movie as far as what they actually do. But what they're doing is trying to get people's senses to go into a very high level. Sometimes it backfires. And the levels
is a true story.
Try that again?
Believe it or not, that movie is on a true story.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It is based off of a gentleman named Hal Puthoff and John Alexander, John Alexander has actually been on this show.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize it was based on a real story, but I knew for me it was certainly, shall we say, rough to watch.
Rough, why?
Well, up until 2 years ago, you touch that topic and I would literally go into shock with it. And I couldn't carry on a conversation over what was good, what I'd been through. So anything in that field, The reality based, the so-called reality based ones were absolutely problematic for me.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. All right, let's move on here to another question. This one from Kim, who is asking, what's the method for pushing kibosh on an abduction, or putting kibosh on an abduction? Gosh,
Yeah,
I need to learn how
my
to read here.
understanding is that'd be KAI, but that's beside the point. Literally, it was literally a combination of psychic and astral battle, as well as physical restraint. Because there were probably 6 or 7 of us that got involved in it. It's not just, oh, leave me alone, I don't want to go. It doesn't usually work that well. This was a lot of other people that interrupted the abduction. But it was literally, as near as I could figure, it was that unified approach of everybody pitching in to protect this one chap. Right. And I mean, the shockwave that went through the community because of it was absolutely bizarre. Because even the people involved in running the kibosh couldn't really wrap their head around it. I mean, we were all there and it was all pretty black and white. But it was traumatic for a lot of people, especially the guy that nearly got taken.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on here. Mark is wondering, so if a person wants to be taken, how do you make it known to them, the aliens? An experience I would love to have, but they just don't seem interested.
You might be lucky in that one. There are some aliens you do not want to be abducted by. But like I mentioned earlier, many of these races actually have psychic scanners, and they will watch for the thought processes. Okay, of course, the problem there is, and people that really desire to be taken, a lot of the reason they don't get taken is because it does not provide a true scientific involvement. It doesn't provide true psychic analysis. If you're trying to find out how people respond to whatever, taking the ones that are volunteering is not going to give you as much detail as taking the ones that aren't expecting it. Thing you got to remember is it's not actually a joyride out there for them. Although when you take the Martokians, quite often they get a lot of fun with it. Of course, they bring their kids and their classes around for study, as in for a field trip.
All right, let's move on. Shar wants to know, do you know how they make people forget?
Yeah. They literally use a triphase. Now, let me see if I get the phrase. Basically, what they do is they interrupt the neural network in your head with what amounts to a biomagnetic EMP pulse. And they just short it out and then paint over it. Memory overlays using things that are common to see. Usually that, because, especially with the grays, they quite often will overlay it with owl eyes or deer eyes because they look so similar to humans that it's easy to put the image over top. But they're basically shorting out your neural net.
All right. Bio wants to know, do aliens have trouble with certain humans because of the DNA? They will get sick from our DNA? If so, is this why there is a movement to change our DNA?
No, the movement to change DNA is human stupidity trying to play God. Bad idea. The off-worlders, frankly, don't have a problem with it. They are so, because you got to remember they deal with human DNA on a subquantum level, right? Which humans don't have at this point the capacity to deal with. See, most of human science is based on as far as medical science goes, most of it is still based on the double helix. The problem is that the triple helix is what's got the answers. And they've come to the conclusion that most of the triple strand is junk DNA. And until they figure that out, they're not going to be in the competing fields. Not for the off-worlders anyway.
All right, let's move on. As we continue, Steve is wondering, is it possible to have these experiences and never know?
Absolutely. I mean, you may get a tingling in the back of your head or wonder where that imagination came from. But it is quite possible that your memories of it are so buried that it just doesn't come out. It's more likely to stay buried if you don't do things like get on shows like doing with Dave's here, or you don't watch science fiction movies that involve aliens, because those have a tendency of triggering different memories, even if you don't want to be looking at them.
All right. Jenny wants to know, R. Keith, would it be possible for us to visit underwater bases? Have you?
The answer to both would be yes. How's that for a quick answer? It's possible to visit them, but not uninvited. If you're not invited, you won't get inside. As for me, the first time I went down, I was not invited. Or more to the point, the first time I went down, I wasn't asked. And that turned out to be a little bit of a complication. Because the reality behind that one was that's where I actually ran into the sea elfid race and the merfolk. There's a few others down there as well that you run into. But yeah, it's absolutely possible to get to them. Although we know, in fairness, since the major ones are at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, it's a little difficult to get there, especially with modern technology. But is it doable? Certainly. And they're a lot of the people down there are a lot of fun.
All right. Terry is asking, what is the preferred music genre for alien races? Does it change among different species? I'm thinking 60s, 70s progressive rock.
Oh, that'd be the dwarves. Dwarves like the banging, the thumping, and what have you. The sirens prefer opera. Right. Many of the elves prefer more of your nature sounds and what have you. And of course, well, it was a cute feedback. Of course, then you get some of them that like really violent music. Complete with screams and yells of terror, that sort of thing.
Okay. Let's move on here. Devin would like to know, I'd love to hear about R. Keith Andrews' past life memory about the fall of Rome, but also maybe could Keith describe an exercise in past life memory recovery?
Well, the fall of Rome, I actually spent four lifetimes there, but they culminated. I started off as a peasant and worked my way up. The first lifetime that I was there, I was just a peasant. Okay, so I knew what I was being treated like. Let me say, yeah. The first time I was a peasant. The second time that I spent time in Rome and in the area was a lot more complicated, but I wasn't actually Roman. Then I became a young senator. And when I was a young senator, I spent about 60 years in the Senate in Rome, trying to tell them if they kept treating people like garbage, if they kept treating the serfs like garbage, they were going to have a rebellion. They didn't believe me. Because I told them, you treat people like garbage and you keep treating them that way, and you keep treating your friends, the people in the Senate with you, as the next best thing to God, you're going to create a disparity that will disrupt. Well, I ended that lifetime off not making much headway. So the final one, I came back as a gladiator. Came back and ensured I ended up as a militarily trained gladiator. And I knew the revolt was coming. So I just told the gladiators, I said, look, I know you're going to start this revolt, but when you start it, number one, leave the innocents alone. Do not, I know some of them will die, but do not target the peasants. Don't target the serfs, right? Go after the people that are the problem. But keep in mind, the military is only doing their job. So if they drop their sword and try and run away, let them go. They're no longer a problem to you. So, it was an absolute bloodbath. But what most people don't realize is the other thing that compounded that was the banks pulled all the money out of the country. They foreclosed on all the debts all at the same time as this was happening. Net result, you have the fall of Rome. Not a fun time, but, well, I was a gladiator. It was kind of fun. Now, as for recalling past life, you're going to have fun with it because you're going to question whether this is just my imagination or whether it's real. And just, keep in mind, not everybody was the King of England. A lot of people like to go, oh, I was a king in this country and what have you. Right. But most past lives are just people living a normal life. Like when I was in Pompeii, I saved a friend of mine. I actually broke 3 of his ribs, stopping him from running back down into Pompeii. Right, because we were just working in the fields. But you sit down, and if you can type without looking at your hands, it's a lot easier. Sit down in front of a computer and just let your mind go and see what pops up. Don't think about it. Just let it type. Don't worry about typos. Because when you go back over it, you can sort all that out. Hopefully. Depending on how bad the typos are. But you go with first thought. You don't analyze it while you're writing it down.
Makes sense.
That's the easiest way to look at it.
It makes good sense. All right, let's move on here to another question. Mennonite Abe is asking, Dave, have you seen a UFO close up? Yes. Yes, the closest about 150 yards away on the ground. It was a 20 to 30 foot tall blue cylinder, vertically with white light coming from the bottom of it. Very cool. That happened on April 10th, 2014. Very cool. Very, very cool. And I'll turn this question over to you, Keith. When you get taken, are you clothed?
Most of the time, yes. Well, actually, I should be clear with that without getting too graphic on that. If I'm taken while I'm still, as it were, up and about, then the answer is yes. However, if they do that thing about snagging me out of bed, probably not. And no, we're not getting into that.
All right. Well, we don't have to. I'm going to take this question here. Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness is asking, Dave, when you recently saw the shadow in your studio, did anything happen later? The answer is no. So the other night, Keith, a couple nights ago, I was doing our Dave versus Dave feature here, and I was talking about something paranormal. And just beyond my screen, by my green screen, right where my son's desk is in the studio here, I watched a figure walk right through my son's desk and through the wall. I saw the shoulders and the head.
Right.
It's kind of trippy.
Yeah, it is. You get used to it after a while, but it's a riot when it first happens because you sit there going like, did I see that or am I just working too hard?
Well, the thing is, I don't mind it. Like I know it happens around my house. I love getting startled like that. I do. But it's different when you're working like I am, you know?
Yeah.
But nothing did happen later. Everything's been cool. All right, Football Cat wants to know, Keith, is the sensation of falling in your sleep astral traveling?
Sometimes, yes. More often than not, the way I've found to identify it is if you feel like you're flying around without any form of aerial conveyance, 9 times out of 10, that's your astral traveling. The falling while you're sleeping is usually you coming back. It's the tail end of the trip. Hopefully you hit your body when you come back in. I've done it before where, and I've talked to many people. They come back into their body backwards. And it makes it really, really rough trying to walk.
All right, Ryan wants to know, is there a sweet spot in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia for oddities that are worth visiting? I may have a better pull on this one. Yale and Hope, British Columbia. Yale recently had another Sasquatch sighting about a week ago along the highway. And that is also the home of Jacko the Sasquatch. It's a very haunted place. It's got some UFO activity tucked in at the beginning of the Cascade Mountains there in the canyon. I would say Yale. Chilliwack is very haunted as well. Lots of UFO activity as well as Sasquatch. Harrison as well. Now, if you talk to David Politis, the number 2 place in North America where people vanish without a trace is the North Shore Mountains and Cascade Mountains right through Maple Ridge and Mission. So that's where you need to be looking if you want oddities. Everything's haunted, man. You can find hauntings anywhere. You go to a shopping mall, supermarket, gas station. There's always going to be hauntings somewhere. But if you want the real woo, it's in the Eastern Fraser Valley, and also Abbotsford and Aldergrove in the Fraser Valley have had a lot of big time sightings of black triangles. Something about the Abbotsford, Mission, Aldergrove triangle there that has a lot of black triangle sightings. A lot of black triangle sightings. So that might be something you want to check out. Mission, British Columbia, very haunted. Very haunted. And that's all buildings, majority of the houses. I was told by a realtor once that he believed every house that was 40 years or older in Mission was haunted. And that's a true statement. Keith, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have R Keith Andrews for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. And then in hour 3, we'll get to the Swamp and Swamp Dweller and fedora-wearing John Hudson. We'll be back with the unbiased UFO report. R Keith Andrews joins us once a month to talk about the woo. He is the conductor of the woo train, taking us down the tracks at high speed, talking everything UFO, alien, extraterrestrial. That's why we love him around here. We'll be back right after this. All right, R. Keith, we're clear.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You're grabbing a new coffee.
No problem. Let's see here.
Peanut. I know it's Friday, but I also know you want to drop your money for.
Let me just mute his mic. That's personal stuff. And to go here. Let's see here. All right. Hi, Davy Jones Locker. How you doing? And we'll ask Jenny's question, or Jenny, then Shar. So we're going to go in order here. I'm going to scroll down. Majdi, how are you? Or is it Mighty? Is it a soft J or a hard J? Let me know. Brown Dwarf. Ufologist. How you doing? All right. Let's see. Who else is here? Obi Flett, what's happening, man? Itsy Zaza. What is going on? It's been a while since we had you here with us. Eric Cooper, the Coop, and Coop's beard. What is going on? RB, what's happening? And who else do we have here? Let's see here. Oob to Joe's Bane. You've got beef stew. Hi, Gorgeous Marie. Polar Eclipse, what's happening? Drake, nice to see you. Hey, Pixter, how are you? Lots of questions coming up for Keith. And gosh, I'm like 20 minutes or 15 minutes behind in the chat room here. Lazarus, how are you? I'll unmute Keith here. Who else is here? Daryl Zernick, thank you for that super chat. I will get to your question, man. Broba Fett, welcome to our chat room. Is it harder or easier to find an alien's G-spot? It all depends. Most of them don't even have nipples, so it's hard to figure that out. And let's see here. Razzlehoff, nice to see you. Gordiab, what's going on? Harvey Green, what's happening, man? Thanks for joining us. We're caught up in the chat room now. R Keith, I forgot to tell you, we're only 2-hour interviews now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Not a problem. So I'm out of here.
No, you got 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Sovereign Farts. The gorgeous and talented Nicole Sakic has arrived. She is the lady on a mission to find aliens with nipples. It's true. Keith, quickly here. Where do the brown or copper colored triangles come from?
The triangles are consortium ships. Usually they're the scanners. They're the ones that come down just to take a poke around and see what's going on. The smaller ones, anyway.
I'm going to get this troll right here. Russian bot. Boom. Gone. Oh, somebody got it before me. Who got it? Big Willie. You're fast, man. All right. We got 20 seconds. Big thank you to Daryl, Jeremy, 5900, Smithy, and Thomas for the super chats. We're going to scroll way up here and find that next question. Here we go, Keith. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the ET Connection. R Keith Andrews is here once again to talk about everything alien and extraterrestrial, and we're having a great time with Keith tonight. As always, Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And welcome back to everybody that's joining us. And especially the ones still staying. Well, not especially, but.
Well, it's good to have you here, man. Always. Start off with Jenny's question. Anybody have UFO experiences involving traveling carnivals?
Oddly enough, yes, but they're not very common. You know, most of the time they're a lot more caught up with the scientific side of it. But they still like to have their fun on occasion. And yeah, in a lot of ways they are the same kinds of, they are the same kinds of ideas as you have with human carnivals.
Shar is asking, do paranormal things happen around the times of abduction?
I thought they were the same thing. Sorry, I personally lumped them together.
All right. Let's go to Big J. Do you know what happens below the 7th floor of the Dulce, Utah base? Or New Mexico?
I got a pretty good idea, but I'm not about to. But the reality of it is that's one of those areas where, let's just say humans are not happy about revealing a whole lot of what's going on there.
Sounds good. We're going to speed through a bunch of these questions, Keith, because we only got you till the top of the hour here. Newfie is asking, breaking the psyche, is there any adrenochrome involved?
In breaking the I'm presuming he's referring to when they're trying to overlay the mind.
Sure.
The answer to that question is it's a modified form. Okay, because they actually have to modify the adrenal hormone in order to boost what is required to enable them to override. But you got to remember, they modify it on the subquantum cellular level, which is something humans haven't figured out how to do yet.
All right, next question. RB is asking, R. Keith, isn't it true that extraterrestrials portray humans as evil aliens in their films?
In some cases, yes. But then they also pick other aliens out. Anything, you got to remember, anytime you're talking about an entertainment field, the race involved will pick a different race to give a unified problem. Now, they don't pick them up usually as really evil people, simply because most of the off-worlders know that humans have not gained the capacity for interstellar travel yet, which makes them an inferior thing, kind of like a rat. Rat with an attitude, but a rat nonetheless.
All right, couple questions from Eric Cooper. Hi, Coop. What's new for aliens in 2022, Keith?
Well, for the most part, it's going to be pretty much business as usual. They're still watching what mankind is doing with this whole mess that's going on right now. They're studying the socioeconomic impact of mankind's maneuvers to see just exactly how they're going to fit in. But they are going to be keeping very close eye on what's going on with the new base they're building up in orbit around the moon. And no, they're not going to tell you about that.
All right, follow-up question from Eric. When's Aliens Volume 2 coming out?
Aiming at the end of this year. But with that in mind, Aliens 1 sometime around about the same time, if you've already got a copy of Volume 1, then the people that already have it, when I do the second printing, because it'll come out with pictures, I'm just going to ship it to whoever I know has a copy of it. So if you've got a copy, let me know, and I'll make sure you get one without an extra charge to the second printing.
All right, let's move on here. Kira would like to know, what is R Keith's favorite ET race and why?
Oh, there's a lot of them that I like. I do like the Srazazians. They've got a very high sense of honor. I love the way they deal with each other. You know, some of their ideas are a little weird, but the Alphid race is absolutely a very enjoyable race. Between them and the Venusians, they've got the most laid back approach. You know, they've got the most creative side, and are some of the least aggressive. You know, but you know, when we're looking at the weirder ones, you know, the Korlock are a fantastic race to deal with. Essentially, a Korlock is an amoeba, 160-pound amoeba, but an amoeba nonetheless.
5900 Buck wants to know, do aliens have a concept of currency? Is it physical or just information?
They've got on their home planets, they have a sort of currency of their own, but when they're dealing with interstellar, they are dealing with more digital than anything else. And most of it, you know, a lot of what they do is barter. Like if they put you on a ship, everything you require is dealt with.
Nikki would like to know, what are the ETs with a reptilian snake-type skin, large triangular head, extremely muscular, backward knee joints, and walk on toes, height range 8 to 10 feet tall?
I'm going to have to look into that one because the moment that she I caught that question out before. You know, I caught that question earlier, so I deliberately went looking for it. But the Procainan are very snake-like, but they don't have legs. They've got twin tails. But they're extremely powerfully built. But I will have to take a look around and see which race that particular one is. But because I've still got notes that I'm trying to put together that are coming out in book 10 or in book 10, in book 2.
All right, let's move on here. Bigfoot Rob wants to know, many people who believe that aliens exist believe that God does not. What is your take?
Oh, there's absolutely no question from my standpoint, God exists. Okay. It's just people have a very hard time conceptualizing something that is that much bigger than the mankind. When you're talking about aliens, you've got a definitive corporeal form in most cases. There are some, like the Zerziks, that are not, they don't have a corporeal form. And the Umian, which again, you know, the Zerziks, the Umian, and the Orbs don't have physical form. But when humans talk about aliens, they've got this preconceived idea. They have to have a physical form. They'll have the same kind of physical reactions. God himself, whether you call him, her, it, whatever, is a real entity, but is so much further advanced to mankind that it's really hard for people to wrap their brain around it.
All right. Let's move on. Ray wants to know, Keith, do we only have past lives on Earth, or do we also reincarnate on other realms than Earth?
other worlds, other races. Some people reincarnate as plants. Some people, I swear, have an IQ like a plant, but that's rude to the plants. But no, they reincarnate in pretty much whatever you can think of. Humans can reincarnate, like people when they die can reincarnate in whatever they desire. Okay, including elementals, actual pockets of element, right? Plants, animals of whatever form, even natural and what we call normal insects. But humans can, sometimes what happens, and I've run into a couple of people where their last life was off-world and they still identify themselves as being an off-worlder. Right. And it causes them problems because they don't adapt well to working on Earth. But yeah, you get your choices to what you want to come back as.
All right. Daryl would like to know, have you ever read or seen one of your past lives in ancient literature, contemporary literature, or videos?
Yep. And that's one of those topics, because the next one he's going to ask is, which ones? Some of them have been, have just been, and like one of the ones that I'm quite willing to talk about is, I remember the movie, what the heck was it called? Braveheart. I was not William Wallace, but I do remember running with him, like running around at the same time as him. Okay. Like that was a rather brutal time. But I do, one of the ones that that wasn't past life, that was this life. But I do remember I had a lot of trouble dealing the first time when I watched the movie showing Pompeii. Because I remember Pompeii quite well. And no, I wasn't anything special there. I was just a normal serf. But I do remember meeting William Shakespeare. Wonderful chap, bit of a drinker, but what the heck.
All right. Sovereign wants to know, how can you tell the signs of a shape-shifting scumbag posing as a human? Example, long draconian nails, putrid body odor.
If they're true shapeshifters, it literally boils down to a feel. Okay, it's many of the people that you see that look really weird are just humans with a genetic key to themselves. Okay, but there's no absolute, here's a marker for you. If you see this person, that's a hybrid or that's an off-worlder. There are some that I've seen that absolutely are, and they stand out like a sore thumb. But that's to my eyes. I don't know of a telltale mark that anybody can say, there's the person. I mean, one of the giveaways in some of them is take a look at the configuration of the ears and the eyes. Okay. That's with some of them, but the real true shapeshifters, you'll never notice. But they will feel funny.
Amber would like to know, do aliens and Sasquatch communicate with one another? Do they get along?
That depends on the alien and the Sasquatch. Because I can tell you, the Wara and the Sasquatch do not get along well. They have two very different outlooks on life.
Pam would like to know, is it black or silver triangular UFOs that are ours?
Usually the silver ones. Because the black ones, more often than not, are the consortiums. See, the funny thing is, humans have this idea of, let's let everybody know that we've got this superior firepower or this superior flight technology. The aliens are trying not to stand out like a sore thumb.
Why wouldn't they?
Because one of their doctrines is to make sure they don't absolutely destroy human culture. They're watching to see how human culture naturally evolves.
Nicole would like to know, R. Keith, are there any alien species that are marsupials?
Absolutely. There are, that I've seen, there are what look like kangaroos, what look like koalas. Those guys are nasty when they get agitated. And there's even a feline race that actually has a pouch.
Sovereign wants to know, Keith, what do you know about the alien versus human battles going on right now around the world, involving blowing up certain buildings, setting off volcanoes, etc.?
Most of the blowing up volcanoes and what have you is being done by the Caboran. And by the way, it's only one Caboran, the one you're standing on. See, Earth itself is another race. But what people are trying to blame on off-worlders, you got to realize, if an off-worlder is going to blow up a building, if they're trying to have a war, okay, they're not going to take out a building. They're going to take out a city. And it's not going to be several explosions. It'll be just one and vaporize it. Or, in the case of some races, they'll dig the ground out from under it and you won't see a little sinkhole. You'll just wake up one day and the city will be gone. So these little explosions and what have you, from everything I've seen, are not from the off-worlders or the ancient races picking a fight. They are way too low grade from their standpoint. And besides that, it's against their whole outlook. You know, like Earth is a protected planet, primarily because the poor thing's alive.
We have just over 5.5 minutes here before we have to say goodnight to Keith. We're going to ask a few more audience questions. Mr. Cowley would like to know, do they still think we are a young race?
Yes. But only because we are. You got to remember, many of these races that are coming to see Earth started heading here when mankind itself was in its infancy. So yeah, they absolutely see mankind as a young race. Also a little temperamental, but you know.
Trippy wants to know, do aliens enjoy art, music, movies, or human entertainment?
The answer is yes. It depends on the alien. And I don't mean the race, I mean the individual, as to what they prefer. But they absolutely do enjoy some of the varied cultural exchanges, as in looking at what humans call art, listening to what humans call music. There are those people that are drawn to it because it's simply something different for them and has a certain feel to it.
All right. Commonwealth Andrew wants to know, should we follow the aliens' lead and really stop following the sports atrocity called soccer?
Absolutely not. You think
Absolutely we should. I'll answer that one. Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't want, we should be embarrassed as humans that soccer is even a thing on this planet. We really should. So, except women's soccer. Women's soccer is pretty damn good. Men's soccer should be embarrassed by it. Not a single child on this planet should have to be affected by such a disease called soccer.
See, and yet, as far as the off-worlders are concerned, soccer is such a passive game. You know, it is such a mild game that yes, it's a great game from their standpoint for the little kids. But I know of some races that'll look at you and go, well, if you're not dragging a sword around while you're going to kick the ball, the game just doesn't have any appeal.
Newfie wants to know about secret bases in Nelson, British Columbia.
He probably does. You know, and as I've told other people, Newfie, I don't reveal locations like that. Way too many potential complications. Okay, but there are bases all and underground complexes all over the world.
The Michael Leger wants to know, have you ever been followed or watched by little green or little orange orbs, like little tiny scout ships?
Absolutely. Now let me just call something up here. Hopefully I can get this in a hurry. I have both of them open. That's what I want, is that one there. I'm looking for one particular little race. Blow that up. The answer is yeah, I have, because orbs they're an interesting group. But I get followed by them, but then again, I also end up talking to them.
All right, 2 minutes left, Keith. Joe wants to know, do aliens ever use human cell phones?
Oh, yeah. If they're on Earth, if they can figure out how a cell phone works, or they can get a hold of one, the answer is yeah, absolutely. Because it is a communication system on Earth that nobody pays much attention to.
Sovereign wants to know, have you ever witnessed an orb shift into an interdimensional traveler?
The answer would be sort of yes. It's not actually interdimensional. It's a different vibratory rate. But yes, I've seen it happen. There are races that are literally will reform themselves to look more recognizable. They'll start off in an orb shape and then unfold into something a little bit more humanoid, if you will.
Keith, we got about a minute to go here before we have to say goodnight to you. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to the rest of the audience questions. But do us a favor, tell everybody where they can find your books and your YouTube channel.
Well, my YouTube channel is the easy part. It's under Inner Voice Enterprises. And if you look up the basic line that I run with is The Journey. You look me up there. Underneath that video, you'll find all the ways to get a hold of me. And that being said, this little monster just hit the market today. I've actually got a number of them in stock. This is the end of an epoch. It's the sequel to The Birth of the Wolfpack that came out already. But if you go on YouTube, there's a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Not the least of which is on Facebook, either R Keith Andrews or Inner Voice Enterprises, or of course with the book, it's Ilderbach. And then I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, and of course I'm on YouTube. And I'm pretty certain if somebody drops Dave a line that he'll likely pass it on.
Maybe, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. Keith, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. We love you around here. You're one of the greats and cannot wait to talk to you next month, my friend.
I do appreciate it, and thanks so much for having me here again.
All right, coming up next, after R Keith Andrews, we're going into the swamp, and then the fedora-wearing John Hudson will join us for the Unbiased UFO Report. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Okie doke. Thanks so much again. Sorry about tonight, but that sort of thing gets annoying.
That happens.
It's
all good, brother. It's all good. I understand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I hope you gave him shit. What are you doing in a radio show?
I thought about it.
I am a teasing you. All right. Go. And
you got your work cut out.
Yeah, we do. We always got our work cut out. Always got. Hey, Flat Earther, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Who else has joined us late here? Oh, that's it, I think. Mm-hmm. And Commonwealth Andrew, I sure turned the tides on that question. Think soccer is not a good sport. I mean, hockey's not a good sport. Jeez, man. I hope you're in the middle of a guitar solo and you blow your bottom string. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Guilherme, bonjour. How are you, buddy? How was your vacation? What did you see on your vacation? All right, buddy. We'll let you go.
Okie doke. You have a great one.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Absolutely. You take care.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for calling me this week a couple of times, too.
Oh, not a problem at all.
Call anytime, brother.
Absolutely. Don't work
See you,
too
bud.
hard, eh?
I'll try not to. Good night. All right, R Keith Andrews. Love him. He is literally one of the nicest people I've ever met on this planet. Truly is. God, I love that guy. I'm going to get this one before Big Willie does. Boom. Done. Mm-hmm. Got it. Always lurking. Always watching. Mm-hmm. Quick podcast radio note. Always have fisherman friends candy on board whenever you are speaking. Clears your throat beautifully. Brazelhoff, I am good. I am very, very good. Tired tonight. Tired. I got a long day tomorrow. I got to get up for work. I have to then leave work, go to my son's hockey practice, go back to work, leave work at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, then come home, shovel and snow blow my entire driveway and carport and patio. There's like 3 feet of snow on my patio, not even exaggerating. Hi, Enzo. Yes, it's a lozenge. And then I have to do the website. Yep. It's where we're at, man. It's where we're at. My fisherman friends, the cherry ones are the best, but these ones are pretty good. Honey lemon. The lemon citron ones are terrible. Tried those ones. Mm-hmm. Boom. Now I can see. Yeah, it's supposed to warm up tomorrow. So it should be a little bit more tolerable. Hold on. Tomorrow it will be a high of -8 degrees Celsius. So that's a temperature change of 14 degrees warmer. I am so looking forward to that. Oh, snow tomorrow now that they're calling for. Exactly what I want, you son of a motherless goat. It's exactly what I wanted. More snow. We got about a minute here. Las Vegas, people. Las Vegas, night number 1. We're going to party at the Stratosphere. Night number 2, we're going to do a luncheon at the Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip. Then at about 5 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., we're looking at putting a live show together with Lynn Wallington in Vegas. And then afterwards, we're going to go hang out at Planet Hollywood. And then if you're still around on Sunday, we're going to head over to Treasure Island to the barbecue place there, hang out there, and then call it the weekend, April 22nd to 24th. Hey, Dirty Filth, how you doing? I hope to see all of you there, or as many of you there as possible. The first 50 who register at info@spacedoutradio.com, info@spacedoutradio.com, with your name and your size, you will get a gift bag of swag from us here at Spaced Out Radio. The guys from UFO Garage are going to be there. Nate Foote, our Bigfoot hunter, is going to be there along with Hallmark, and that is cool. Here we go, everyone, with the third hour.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Let's find out. It is Saberation. Saberation is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time once again where we head into the swamp. Our good friend Swamp Dweller joins us for another spooky tale.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time.
Why does it do that all the time? I don't know.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Hey, Swamp Dweller. I have a quick ghost story that's neat. This is actually a few short stories that I'm including in one submission, because some of them are related, I think. I'll start with my own. From the time I was born to when I was 14, I lived in a ranch-style house in Jackson, New Jersey with my parents and 2 siblings. As I'd later find out, my dad had paranormal experiences since maybe he was around 5 years old. The house was nice enough, but a little old and gave me the creeps. Sometimes, for no reason, the hair on the back of my neck would stand up, especially when I was alone at night. As a kid, I remember for years that I would wake up exactly at 3 a.m. on the dot, whether I was tired or full of energy. I'd sometimes be covered in sweat and just felt afraid for no reason. Now, this started when I was young, but continued until I moved out at 14. My alarm clock would go off at times it was not set for, or make strange noises that it was certainly not supposed to. Now, along with the bad, there were actually some good experiences I had as well, starting with this one. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was 8 years old and alone in my house. It was a weekend morning, and I was walking around the corner into my kitchen, where I could see out into my dining room. There above my and disappeared. Years later in conversation, I'd come to find out that not just me, but my dad, sister, and mom all saw the exact same ghost multiple times. I told my friends in school, but no one believed me. My dad also said he saw a male figure one time, but it was in full color. Unlike the woman, though, my dad said he seemed angry and foreboding. As my dad pulled into the driveway, the figure of the man just faded away like sand in the wind. I have also heard a female voice saying hi, and a few other short interactions, but there's never anybody there. The most interesting story, though, is my dad's when he was just a kid. I'll be telling it from his perspective, so here it is. I was only 5 years old, laying asleep in bed when I woke up to what sounded like moaning. I listened to the sound for a minute. I was trying to get the courage to investigate. Sneaking out of bed and down the hallway, I quietly walked down the 100-year-old stairs to try to not make any noise. Halfway down the stairs, I peeked through the banister, heart pounding as the moaning continued. Short hall and in the dining room, I saw my entire family in age order marching around the table, all moaning this odd sound. I was confused, but when I saw myself, I made eye contact with my own face. It terrified me to the core. I ran back upstairs and into bed. The moaning then stopped, and I never had any experience like that again. It's something I truly cannot explain, and it's hard to really dismiss it as a dream. If anybody has had any experiences like this, we would love to know.
Wow. Don't you love a good haunted story? I love a good haunted story. And I know for our YouTube people, I think what happens there for the audio issue is I know it's not on the podcast side. So the radio side doesn't really need to worry about it. But on the YouTube side, I think what happens is when I actually put my microphone on mute, it's actually muting that post. Weird. Weird. We are just waiting for the fedora wearing John Hudson to come on and join us here on the After Hours with the UFO Report. And I'll tell you, sometimes we get some weird things that are happening. But I do want to mention a couple of events coming up here. As I just found out, as of last night, that myself and potentially Lynn Wallington will be speaking at UFO Con 2022, February 25th to 27th in San Francisco, California. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very much in line with going out and getting back into the field and talking to people. So it's always a great event that Lori and Fenton puts on. George Norrie's going to be there. Daniel Sheehan is going to be there. Paul Hynek is going to be there. Some of the biggest names are going to be there. So if you could join us, that would be absolutely great. And Lynn has never spoken at a conference. So for our radio side, if you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/spaced out radio, it is always a good time to check out our weekend show with Lynn Wallington. And she always has great guests, great interviews. And we will be in San Francisco, February 25th to 27th. Also, to all of our listeners out there, if you go to info.com, info at spacedoutradio.com, you can give us your confirmation if you will be attending our Las Vegas event. That's April 22nd to 24th. We got a great event planned for you, which includes nightly get-togethers, luncheon get-togethers, and we're looking for an event place where we can actually host a live show. So for those who will not be in Vegas for our get-together, we're going to broadcast a live show. We're going to try to. So let's make sure that we can do that. Let's make sure that we can get together and have some fun. The first 50 people that register that they are coming to Vegas at info@spacedoutradio.com, and that is a hard confirmation. Yes, you are going. All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a swag bag of SOR stuff. And I'm going to feel good about that. You're going to feel good about that. We're going to own the night in Vegas. I think that's going to be very, very cool. Very, very cool, because we want it to happen. We need it to happen. And all right, it is time once again for us to go and bring in the fedora wearing John Hudson for the unbiased UFO report. All right, our resident Barry Gibb looking UFO reporter John Hudson has all the latest details on the latest and greatest in the UFO world, because the news seems to be changing every couple of days. John, how are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good, Dave. How about yourself?
Good. That beard and hair combination's looking great, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying so, but actually the beard's just temporary so I can realign the goatee and everything. I got to do this every year or so. Just you know how it is, keeping things in symmetry.
Now, are you dyeing the color, or is that natural?
It's mostly natural. I have to dye a little bit because I'm getting a little white into it. But yeah, I dyed a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
I really don't. But no, man, we'd love to see test out that beard and hair combination. We got people asking if the fedora will make its way down to Las Vegas for our big event that we're going to have there April 22nd and 24th.
Well, I mean, all plans are yes. It all greatly depends on whether the job gods take pity on me and grant my most recent request. But assuming that all comes into play, I will be there with bells on.
All right.
I love Las Vegas. It's my backyard.
I got to ask you, man. You sent me a picture of Van Halen today.
Oh yeah. I started following this account on Twitter that just posts these crazy, really old pictures of cool bands, like old photos of like Beastie Boys and Van Halen, and like and some of them every once in a while I see one where I'm like, hey, Dave would like this, so I forwarded it to you.
I appreciated that, man. One of my first albums that I ever got as a kid, well, aging myself, albums, was 1984 with, and you think about it. Remember the Nirvana cover, John, where they were the dude who played the baby came out saying that he was now offended and cancel culture and wanted to sue Nirvana for putting him on the cover, even though his parents signed off on it and agreed to it.
I forgot about that.
I'm wondering why the baby on the Van Halen cover never did that. I mean, with putting angel wings on a naked baby, holding a lit cigarette.
How about Bumblebee Girl from the Blind Melon song? Right? I mean, like, was it Blind Melon? No, was it Blind Melon?
No Rain. No Rain.
Yeah, No Rain. Yeah, it's like, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. Love the song, really did. Actually, was a fan. But that poor Bumblebee Girl, like, boy, if anyone has justification for a lawsuit, it's her.
Oh, I'm sure she got paid very well for that.
Yeah, here's hoping.
I'm hoping she did, But apparently, according to Major Lee in the chat room, that court case got thrown out for the Nirvana guy, Nirvana baby.
Oh, yeah. Can't
1984. I remember the first time I heard Jump. Oh, my gosh. And when they would crank it every week, almost every week on Friday night videos on NBC.
I used to listen to that album when I was cutting trees in my grandmother's yard. So like I have these summers where I just have these incredibly fond memories of like these 2-3 week periods just out in the California sun, climbing trees, cutting them down, listening to this album over and over and over and over again, and just, oh man, such fond memories.
Are you a Dave guy, a Sammy guy, or a combination guy?
I really almost see them as two different bands. Because I was not a Sammy Hagar fan before he joined Van Halen, but I gotta say, I like what he does with that band. I really do. I really like what and his voice is just that is just in an orbit all on its own. And the thing was that he was as much of a personality in a different direction as Dave was. Dave, I will always love Dave. Just a Gigolo is still like one of my all-time favorite videos ever. So, it's a hard pass.
Yeah. John always likes to boobity boobity bop, Zitty Bob.
Oh yes, love
You know?
that stuff. Love that stuff.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I was a mixture of both. I love David and I love Sammy. Eric Sharon from Extreme sounded terrible with Van Halen, trying
I
to
never
sing
listened to that.
dude, it was terrible. He was trying to sing every song like it was an Extreme song. It was horrible. It was horrible. Like, that one needs to be, and I'm very happy that it never gets talked about. You know?
Yeah, yeah. But you can imagine the conversation between the two brothers. They're sitting there going like, what's wrong with us? We're both obviously great musicians. Everyone likes what we do. Why can't we find a damn singer? This shouldn't be this damn hard, you know? Like, I can just imagine the conversations at 3 a.m., you know?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's the same thing as like, does anybody remember John Corabi for that one album on Motley Crue when Vince Neil left?
Oh no, I forgot that
Oh.
even happened. Well, that's like asking about those Duke cousins that drove to General Lee for one season, and you know no one remembers that either. So it's like, yeah.
Oh my god, what were the names of the Duke cousins? Hold on, where are the names?
It was so sad too because they didn't even just hire two good-looking normal guys. They hired two people to look as much like the original actors as they possibly could. So bad.
Yes.
So bad.
And then they were Coy and Vance Duke.
That's right. Coy and Vance. Coy and Vance. They got a whole season. They had a whole season, and at the end of that, in the middle of their season, the original cast finally renegotiated their contract because they were basically on strike. Oh yeah, it was a contract dispute. Mm-hmm. Yep, it was.
Okay.
It was a contract dispute. Yep, and basically the actors, the two main actors did not cave, and the studio thought they would, and they didn't, and I think the studio thought they could pull it off with the cousins, and they couldn't. So I think everyone had to eat a little bit of crow on that one.
Yeah, you know what bugged me is when they got rid of Enos, the deputy, for Cletus. Couldn't stand.
Cletus had his value propositions, but the only thing I kept hoping was that Ernest like left because he wanted to, you know, because I mean that he was actually an outstanding actor. I mean, like no one picks up on it during that show, but he really was. He was a really good actor.
All right, let's get to some UFOs here.
No, let's just talk Dukes of Hazzard, man. I'm good with that.
Yeah, well, we'll do that in the after show after we're signed off the air. But there's a letter from the White House dated January 7th for UAP. What is this letter all about?
So I got to read it quickly for the audience if everyone will bear with me. It's titled. It says, "Thank you for writing. I generally appreciate your effort in making us aware of your concern regarding the UAP, but the mailing issue needs to stop promptly. As of September, we have received over 500 letters requesting UAP disclosure from you. It's a little much. The late night CE5 stances that you typically leave on our voicemail take up a consultant's time, and I am also unaware of Robert Lazar and the Chemical 115. Please stop asking. My staff has made a note. I will tune into the episode of Jimmy Church on multiple requests. I wish you the best in 2022 and look forward to our airspace is secure in ufology and all is required in this learning through K-12 schools in the United States of America. Sincerely, Joe Biden." And obviously, no one should take this seriously. But it's a beautiful letter in that it touches on some very important points for all of us to be considering as we are indoctrinating new folks into this sort of topic. You know, the challenges that they can have with both the veracity of, say, our passion and also the button issues that so many people have of 115 and Lazar and so forth, and the fact that realistically, if we actually got a letter like this, it would not be a bad thing. If a group of you actually sent 500 letters to one person and they got all 500 of those, that's not a bad thing, right? So this isn't all jest, but it to me it was a beautiful letter to begin the Friday evening.
Well, you know what? I don't know. Do we know who made it?
I don't. I was looking into it, and then I ran out of time, so I need to follow up on that. It's very nice though. It's well done.
Well, there's a couple of things where, kind of at first I thought, okay, maybe Biden is actually
Yeah.
responding to this. But the minute I read Chemical 115, okay, and then that I will tune into Jimmy Church. No offense, nothing against Jimmy Church.
No,
Great guy.
no. But
Great
still, yes, exactly. To have his name mentioned in a presidential letter, I can't imagine. Yeah, no, this was a beautiful piece of satire, and I really appreciate that kind of humor. I do.
Some people, you know what? I'm going to say this. We're at least seeing the humor in this, but there's going to be a big portion in ufology who will be very offended by this letter because it's exactly what ufology doesn't need. That shows you the sense of humor that we have in UFOs right now.
But it just, the thing is that we are asking a very large percentage of not just California or America. We're asking a large percentage of the world to change, and change in a very fundamental, deep, and personal way. We are actually asking everybody to do that, and if we are asking everyone to do that, I think we can probably change a little bit ourselves, and probably take heed of some of these humorous jokes and some of these rubs, because among friends, they're often a warning sign of little behavioral things that could be corrected, that could make conversations more fluid.
True. Very true. There is going to be a major percentage of the UFO, major being like 20, 25%, that are going to be like, this is what's wrong with ufology. Why would someone do this and put egg on our faces? Again, John. I mean, there are a lot of people who will do that. I mean, we laugh
I know,
at it.
but Dave, but I can't tell you, like, the one thing I'm not enjoying about more and more people talking about this is that I love it when friends and family, come up to me at family gatherings and they bring up this whole topic. It's great, but I can't tell you how many times 3 sentences into it, they lean forward and they go, "So, what do you think about Lazar?" And you're like, "Oh man."
You tell them you believe them.
It happens every time. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's an astounding thing.
Yes. Bob Lazar's real. Bob Lazar's real.
I believe. I firmly believe. I will say on the record, I firmly believe that what Bob Lazar has said, he believes. I have very little data to prove that what he believes happened actually happened at the degree and level that he believed it did. But I do believe that that he believes it happened. I really do. I don't think I don't know. That's a great. It's one hell. If nothing else, it's a great story.
Well, you know what, John? We're going to continue the unbiased UFO report when we return from the break here at the bottom of the hour. Our final break of the night. John Hudson joins us a couple times each week to discuss UFOs and what is happening in the world around. When we come back with John, we're going to get into a big question by Chris Mellon. Why isn't Luis Elizondo back working for the DOD? Interesting time as we continue the unbiased UFO report. We got Shirky Poo's news and the thought of the day. The jam-packed final half hour is next. By the way, John, big compliment to you from one of our station owners in Mississauga. Loves this segment at the end.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying so. Thank you for saying so. Yeah. I think I'm tempted to print up that letter and make a poster out of it for myself. I got a kick out of it. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, I know. That's what
are you doing? The gorgeous Anne Celine has returned. Hello,
Evening.
Annie. You got television on in the background?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear that? I'm sorry. I can turn it down a little bit more. Yeah, my daughter's trying to keep entertained, so I can turn it down a little bit more there. And hopefully you won't hear it anymore.
It's okay.
Yeah. That better?
What's she listening to?
It's one of these shows where they do like the crazy makeup, you know, like the special effects makeup, you know,
She
like
likes
what they
that?
actually. I honestly I didn't know she did until now. So, but she does. So I'm.
You know
I'm
what
all
drives
thrilled.
me nuts? My boy, when he goes on YouTube, he loves watching these gamers play Roblox or whatever.
Okay,
And
so now, go ahead.
let me finish. Some of these idiots, they scream and yell like this is real life. And literally, you would swear that they just got kicked in the balls by a bull cow. It is absolutely embarrassing. And I just think these people who are doing this need granted, their channels are huge. Some of them, they're making a lot of money streaming live while they're playing video games. Good for them. But I've never wanted to hit somebody more in my life outside of my former boss. All right. Never wanted to hit somebody so hard than these idiots, these morons who are screaming because they're being chased in a children's game. Now I know
And
video games. Look, I'm not trying to be Grandpa Simpson here, shaking my fist at the clouds. Not trying to be that dude whatsoever. But man up. Let your balls drop. Go to the bar and find some women or men.
Okay, so
whatever you're
I'll
into.
tell you. So my daughter watches a lot of those. A lot of them I can't get into. I have found myself growing quite fond of one or two of them,
Me too.
because of the amount of energy that they put into the voices and so forth. One in particular that I just want to bring up in light of what you said is actually it's a couple, a married couple, and the guy looks as much of a uber computer dork as you can possibly imagine, and his wife is not, and she is just as into it as he is, and it's something to watch. They're a lot of fun. They're a kick.
Hi, gorgeous Gloria. Chris
And
Moe.
she looks about 10 years older than him too, which is funny.
Davis King. Major Lee. Look, I have no problem with them doing it, man. Hey, if you could make a living off of streaming, go for it. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, but some of the extreme and the exaggerated emotions are just, you know,
Exactly.
just way out of control.
Like literally, when my son has this crap on, and I don't mind him watching them, but when they start screaming and yelling like they've been stabbed, okay, and that they're getting hurt, I tell them, I said, turn the volume off, change the channel, go find another one. I don't want that influencing him.
I will say though that I have had very similar feelings about many people throughout my entire life, listening to people watch sports on television.
Yeah, well, soccer's not a sport. 90% of that happens in soccer.
Is soccer on TV?
Oh, it shouldn't be. If it is, it should be illegal.
It is. Oh, no, it is on cable. That's right.
Sonny, how you doing, buddy? The gorgeous Cassie. Nice to see you on Facebook. We got about a minute here. My Gypsy Road can't take me home. Screaming like banshees. Absolutely, sovereign farts. You should go rip one on them. Absolutely.
Well, you know, I tell you real quick, Dave, the other nice thing about the people playing them is we watch walkthroughs of games to help us get through parts of games we're playing that we get stuck on. And it relieves a lot of the stress.
I am good with that.
It's really cool.
Sonny from Paranormal Chop Shop. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Great show earlier on. I did tune in, except for that guy who called himself Squatchin'. Don't like that. Didn't like that.
I saw that. I was waiting for you. I was like, oh man, Dave, didn't see that?
I did say something. I asked him, what is squatching? And my question didn't even get answered. I felt offended there. Maybe I didn't put it in capital letters. I don't know. All right, here we go with the final half hour, everyone. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway as we've rounded third and we're headed for home. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives. Head off to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, John Hudson, the Unbiased UFO Report, continues as we're going to talk a little bit about Chris Mellon, who put out a blog trying to figure out why, John, Luis Elizondo has not yet been rehired by the United States Department of National Defense. What is your opinion on this?
I get to say point blank. To me, this is one of the most shocking turn of events that I've actually personally seen in several months. I'm completely blindsided by this. I'm baffled as to why he did this, because the thing is that realistically, it's unlikely that he's going to really have any influence over that happening. Okay. And so then the question becomes, why would he want people talking about it? Like, even if it's not going to happen, it's going to create dialogue. So why does he want people talking about it? Why does he want it being considered, especially because of the fact that several months ago, you had people saying that they believed Elizondo was going to go back to the government, or that Mellon would, and essentially using it as a slight toward them in a way, saying, look, we can't trust them. They're going to end up going right back to the government. And here he is writing a letter saying, hey, government, why haven't you brought him back? So he's basically calling out what Lou's been accused of having planned as a good frontal course of action, which is a little odd, in my opinion, for someone to be calling out, at least so declaratively, what position one way or the other. And then for him to be doing this, what's his motivation? What is he really trying to get done here? Now, if you take all that aside and just read the letter, it's cool. It's nice, it's well written. It covers a lot of interesting points. I wouldn't say there's anything about it that kind of jumps out at me as like really severe or really passionately interesting. But it was fun to watch. It was a very nice professional defense of a professional friend to another on the behalf of another professional friend. And at some level, it was just that. And in that level, it's just a nice thing to see. But the motivations and the goals and what people will think they're actually going to get out of it, that part really baffles me.
Look, we all know Lou is done. The minute he signed off on hired Daniel Sheehan, who is very well known in Washington, D.C., as well as filed those claims with the what do you call it down there? Up here, we call it an ombudsman.
Oh no, but yeah, the same idea. Yeah. It's the Attorney General, essentially.
The Attorney General down there. Okay, about his claims about his emails getting waxed and them trying to erase his history. All right, I don't see him getting back in the DOD, but
yeah,
I will say this. If the military-industrial complex really wants to shut this topic down, like it looks like they want to, according to Susan Go, then you rehire him.
Yes.
You rehire him, and you increase his security level so he has no chance of talking UFOs.
Yep, totally agreed. And because he's maintained his security clearance, and because he's still working for a defense contractor, pulling him in would be actually very easy for them to do. And the one thing I will say to your earlier point is that there are many, many people that are currently in lawsuits with the U.S. federal government that are currently employed by the U.S. federal government, actively working for the same unit that they are suing. It happens more than you think. So under normal circumstances, I would agree. A lawsuit like this would negate any chances. But in the case of the U.S. federal government, it might end up being part of a settlement.
Do you think Lou goes back?
No, but I think that he would like to under the right circumstances. I just don't think that they're going to create the kind of circumstances he needs to go back.
Well, I mean, the chances are he'd probably get buried somewhere. And I'm not saying deathly buried, but I'm saying buried in a back office that
right, which is why I say I don't think he could get. I don't think he would, because I don't think he can get what. I don't think he could get close enough to what he wanted to actually make it make sense for him.
What do you think he wanted? You think he wants to run the entire program?
No, I don't think it's. I don't think it's so much as that he wants to personally run it. I think it's that he wants somebody to run it honestly. I think what he wants is he wants the result of the program to not get blocked for political or religious issues. I think he was concerned about the way the material was being digested or not digested by people upstream, and that was his sole problem. And so if that one thing got fixed for him, and he actually started getting support, and he actually started getting that, then he would essentially, I think he would really want to.
Finally tonight, in the LA Times, there was an open letter to the editor complaining, how dare you cover UFOs? What a silly topic to be wasting newspaper space on. And look, obviously this topic is going to have its detractors, but John, I disagree with this letter. I'm just going to say.
Really? I'm shocked. So the letter, which I'll put out later, it's the kind of stuff we used to see, right? It's kind of stuff we're used to seeing. He goes on and he says, there is not one single piece of evidence of flying saucers and little green men have ever visited our planet. Reliable and relabeling UFOs as UAPs doesn't change that reality. Maybe the best you can do is show a photograph of a fake photograph of a fake of plastic that has fallen onto an image of a plane of a video camera. I mean, this is basically the classic dismissive, hasn't looked at anything, hasn't updated any information for a while, and is incensed. He has somehow gotten himself to the point where he is personally offended by this for whatever reason. But that's not what I find disturbing. What I find disturbing is that the Times picked this as one of the 2 or 3 or 4 editorials that they considered that all the other readers should read as being representative of their readership. That's the part that actually bothers me, not what was written, because I think there's always going to be a percentage of people that feel the way he does, and he has every right to feel that way. But yes, what I don't like is that they put it on the top and put lights around it as a showcase.
Well, the other two seem to be wanting more truth, more understanding of what is going on. Yes. This one gentleman, Robert Lieberman, types in, one could make up all sorts of weird explanations for these remaining sightings: cryptozoological, flying spaghetti monsters, mystical, wizards, witches, spiritual, ghosts, science-y, quantum fluctuations, space-time bubbles, or meteorological, ball lightning. But until there is conclusive evidence one way or another, all, including that there are some sort of craft, are equally probable. Keep an open mind and keep calm. I mean, this is a subject that is firing people up. And you know what? Of course they're going to put the negative one up first. The negative complaint to the letter of the editor. I mean, that's only obvious because that's how the paper is basically saying to the public, without saying to it, look, we don't want to cover this crap, but people are talking about it. And so we're going to put the piece that we agree with right up front. This is the editor speaking about this, not really speaking, but in the moves that they made to set the paper up. And they'll put the other two guys kind of on the other side. That's kind of how it works, right? So,
but you think if you wanted to present that opinion well, you would have picked ones that argued better. I mean, this was a very juvenile argument that was given. It's a common argument, but it's not like a well conceived.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
So it's
But I mean, man, you can tell the emotion. Like
oh
that
yes.
that guy.
Oh.
We should actually read it. Do you have it in front of you, or do you want me to grab it?
I do, and basically, the part I find funny, I'll read the last part, is the author of this op-ed article claims that in setting up this new office that we're all so excited about, the Congress has legitimized the long ridiculed topic of UAPs. And he goes, no, it has not. It has merely debased itself further in the eyes of the public. I trust this office will also study leprechauns, as they may also pose a challenge to U.S. national security. I mean, that's some venom.
That is sarcasm at its good. That's good sarcasm, by the way.
It is. It was good, and he's every right to feel that way, right? But I don't like it being showcased, and I do consider it to be an old world way of thinking.
It is, and just by the anger of this guy, you can tell he's done no homework
Yes.
on this subject.
And I wish him all the best.
And so do I. He's allowed his opinion. He's allowed to feel however he wants. But you know what? At least the LA Times made the effort.
I agree.
They
totally
made
agree.
the effort.
And
John,
they are, and I like them covering both sides, like you said.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. Point, counterpoint.
Yep.
John, thank you for another great unbiased UFO report. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Always a pleasure.
Here we go with Shirky Poo's news. All right, Shirky Poo's got us all set up for the night of news. And here we go. Remember in December where the Chinese rover saw that weird shape on the moon? Well, they got there. The Chinese National Space Administration went viral when they saw that strange structure. The grainy picture snapped by rover U-2 was referred to as a mystery hut or strange cube due to its enigmatic shape, resembling a larger structure on the lunar horizon. The agency announced it was heading toward the object at a blazing 656 feet per hour, fast for the moon, to investigate more closely. Well, it took a month to get there, and here's what they found. Nothing. Nope. Nada. Slightly disappointing, the object is made of rock. Arthur C. Clarke fans, stand down. It's no monolith, but it's probably kind of heavy. Paul Byrne, professor of Earth and Planetary Science at Washington University in St. Louis, says the object in that image is almost definitely, categorically, absolutely a boulder. Now he clarifies his previous prediction in the light of the new discovery. It is clearly a large boulder the size of a small boulder, and thus, by definition, it is a boulder. When asked if a small boulder is in fact a rock, Byrne responded, there is actually a definition of a boulder according to something called the Uden-Wentworth scale, which says a boulder is a chunk of rock greater than 256 millimeters in diameter. So I think our lunar friend counts. Boulder it is. You know what? I don't know. When you put the two sizes together, I'm not convinced that that is a boulder. I am not convinced. You need to look at this article. You really, really need to look at this article to understand what we're talking about. So you take the Chinese rover's picture from back in December. All right. You take that picture and we'll bring it up for our YouTube fans. And look how big that looks in the distance. Now, remember, that took a month to get there at 656 feet an hour. Look how big that looks in the distance. And this is what they say it is. Right there. Much closer. In the first picture, you cannot see the crater. In the second picture, you see the crater with a couple of big boulders just sitting there. From the distance, it does not look the same. Now, I'm not saying it is, because I sure as heck am no expert on this. But it does not look the same from the distance. From picture 1, where you see this thing, let's call it a building, whatever, way off in the distance, really protruding out. And number 2, when they get up close, it's on the tip of a giant crater, and there's much more behind it. This, my friends, is what makes conspiracy theories happen. I do not believe, hi John, you're looking beautiful right there. I do not believe that this one is the same photo. I don't believe it. All right. Canada's Prime Minister causing quite a stir by calling a bunch of citizens idiots. Yeah. So I don't agree with this, okay? I don't agree with both points. But we're going to end up showing you something here momentarily. I'll tell you the story. A group of influencers who film themselves drinking, vaping, and partying on a chartered flight from Canada to Mexico have earned the internet's ire. The maskless influencers were met with outrage for flouting COVID rules amid rising cases of Omicron, the Transformer. After footage of the influencers went viral on social media, several airlines refused to fly them back from Cancun. Adding insult to injury, Canadian Prime Minister called them idiots at a press conference this past Wednesday. The party trip was organized by James Awad, the founder of the 111 Private Club, who flew the group to Mexico on December 30th on a chartered Sunwing flight. After footage of the influencers partying inside the plane was met with huge public backlash, Sunwing canceled their July 5th flight back home. According to outlets, Air Transit and Air Canada also refused to pick the group up. Yep. But here's where it gets interesting for me. All right, let's talk about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Mr. Woke. He addressed the controversy in a press conference, branding the influencers as idiots and describing the party as a slap in the face at a time when everyone else was following COVID guidelines. He says, like all Canadians who have seen these videos, I am extremely frustrated. We know how hard people have worked to keep themselves safe, to limit their family gatherings at Christmas time, to wear masks and to get vaccinated, to do all the right things. It's a slap in the face to see people putting their fellow citizens, putting the airline workers at risk by being completely irresponsible. Now, they are irresponsible. All right? But I want to show you something here. This was just a couple months ago at The Hague, at a bar with a bunch of bigwigs from around the world, standing behind a bar, no 6 feet of social distancing. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people behind the bar, and not a single one of them wearing a mask to protect themselves from bringing Omicron or COVID back into Canada from a different country. The hypocrisy is real. Look, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a pro-vaxxer. I'm not anti-COVID. I am not pro-COVID. I'm not anti-mask. I am not pro-mask. I have no opinion that matters. But the one thing that we can say is hypocrisy at its finest by the Canadian PM. And yes, he is right. Those people on that plane put a lot of people at risk for no reason. For no reason. And that's not right either. Let's move on. I don't know where Shirky Poo found this one. The newly erected statue of a grinning man with an enormous penis has prompted delight and rage in an archaeological hotspot in northern Peru, where it has been on show since the beginning of the year. Although perhaps not anatomically correct, the crimson fiberglass structure is a faithful representation of a ceramic vessel from Peru's pre-Columbian Mochica culture, whose people lived in that region between 150 and 700 AD. The 15-minute drive from the center of the regional capital, Trujillo, the statue had already proved hugely popular with passersby and tourists, all because of its 1.5-meter member. But despite the high fidelity, the 9-foot fertility symbol has already been attacked by vandals who smashed a hole in the head of the phallus. Yes, but nonetheless, the statue remains erect, and Arturo Fernandez Bazan, the mayor, says it is not moving, nor will we make it happen. Oh, we love it. Oh, Shirky Poo, where do you find these? Finally, tonight, police and animal rescuers responded to a San Diego highway where a sea lion was spotted attempting to cross the road several miles from the nearest shoreline. California Highway Patrol started receiving calls about 9:40 a.m. saying the sea lion was not observing any traffic type of rules and laws and regulations. They had to detour it and get it back to the ocean, which they did successfully with issuing a ticket and violation. The sea lion now has to appear in San Diego court next Thursday. Thank you to everybody listening to Shirky Poo's News, John Hudson for the Unbiased UFO Report, Swamp Dweller, and of course R Keith Andrews for a great night of the ET Connection. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Good stuff, people. Good stuff. John will be back here momentarily. You know, I don't normally talk the C word. I don't want you guys talking the C word. This doesn't mean that it starts an entire BS session in our chat room, guys. The only reason why I brought up that entire story was because of the hypocrisy of the Canadian government and the Prime Minister for calling the shots that he did. I think it's bullshit. I think it's wrong. It's hypocritical. And, you know, everybody says, oh, he's so great. He's so wonderful. No, he's not. He's a hypocrite. And the problem is people in Toronto, people in Vancouver, and the beautiful province of Quebec fall for his BS. So I don't need any chat. I did that just to show you guys what is going on. I do not condone those morons on that flight for acting like a bunch of hooligans, because that's not very cool. All right. But hi, Nick Reno. Hope you're feeling better. But I just did that because that pissed me off tonight. That really pissed me off. And as a citizen of this country, where I'm tired of everything, but I abide by the rules. All right. And I try and help whatever way I can. Okay. I'm tired of the hypocrisy, and that's where it's staying, not going any further with it. So I just wanted to show you guys that. Hi, John. Hold on. I got you on mute, or you got yourself on mute.
Yeah, and the politics stuff's hard to deal with.
What's that?
I said, yeah, that politics stuff's hard to deal with.
You know, I've been trying so hard, dude, to stay away from that crap. I really have, but this just pissed me off. You're calling my fellow Canadians a bunch of idiots publicly on the House at a press conference, and in the meantime, a month and a half previous, you were doing the exact same thing over in Europe. You moron. You're a moron.
I know, and the hard part too is that there's a couple countries now that have these fairly charismatic leaders who, it's pretty much only the people in that country that see the negative side of them. All the other countries just see the positive side of them, and so it creates a real challenge during international conversations because you get a real separation, a real asymmetry between the perception of a leader outside and inside the country.
Yeah.
Very, very, very challenging.
Pissed me off. Sensational Sherry she wants to see you in lighter colors.
I don't own any lighter colors.
I've seen you in a white shirt.
I got white shirts with like logos on them and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. But thank you for the. I thank you for the suggestion, and I agree from a color palette point of view. It makes sense.
She's only looking out for your fashion, John.
There you go.
Your little girl falling asleep yet?
No, almost. No, actually, to be honest with you, I'm still just really kind of enjoying the fact that I'm able to be on camera and I'm not wearing a sports coat. I think this is the only time I've ever been in a public speaking environment and not in a sports coat. Always had to wear a sports coat.
What about hoodies, John? What about hoodies?
No.
Cloud Horse, how are you? Good night, Big Willie.
Matter of fact, one time, Dave, I was sitting in the executive briefing room of Louis Vuitton, and the vice president of Louis Vuitton had flown in from Paris to meet with us, and I was sitting next to Scott McNeely in the meeting, right? And we're both sitting there in sports coat and blue jeans, right? And the Louis Vuitton woman makes some comment about the fact that engineers just dress like this, and he looks down at himself and looks at her, looks over at me, looks down at me, and just smiles and says jeans and like gives me a high five. In the middle of this corporate meeting with all these executives flown in from Paris. It was the funniest thing, man. I was dying laughing. I was just like,
that would be a moment.
Scott McNeely.
Hey, before we forget, before anybody else leaves, I have an announcement to make that I was waiting until after the show. This weekend, Lynn Wallington will be taking the weekend off, and our only shows this weekend are the after hours shows. Lynn has come down with COVID, and she's doing good. She's at home battling, but she just doesn't have a voice. And so we've made the decision to not do a show on an early show before after hours. So this weekend, after hours will be its only show. So the only show that we'll have. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. Lynn is doing fine. She's She's not having troubles breathing or anything like that, but she will be. She's hoping to be back on air the following weekend, but we're going to give her obviously as much time off as she needs to get healthy, and kind of go from there. Okay, so just continue to send her some love, give her some positive energy and some healing, and she can get over this as soon as possible. She feels absolutely heartbroken when I talked to her earlier today that she can't do a show for you guys, but we are rescheduling her guests. Kathleen Martin was supposed to be tomorrow, and James Anito on Sunday. James has already been rescheduled for later this month, and we're going to get it all linked up for you and cleaned up for you so you won't miss those guests. But so there will be no Lynn Wallington this weekend, just the after hours show starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. All right. So just letting you all know. Hi, gorgeous Gloria. How are you?
She held out as long as she could to make that decision too. So
yes, she did.
I think it's probably harder on her than it's going to be anyone else, but I hope everyone understands because I think everyone's got someone going through this.
Enzo, we're not doing any COVID talk, man. That's what we just talked about.
It's not fun.
Brandy Washington, you're getting the boot for being a troll.
So, Dave, I got to go in a second, but I really want to know, like, what on earth do you think Christopher Mellon was thinking? Like, I'm so confused by this, honestly. Like, I really am. Like, why would you write an open letter like that?
He loves Lou. That's point blank.
Yeah. You can tell too, and it's nice. I mean, it's good. It's nice to see. It's nice to see someone of Chris Mellon's character and pedigree backing Elizondo. I think
what he's trying to do. I think what he's seriously trying to do is he's trying to take some of the heat off of Lou for what happened to DC. And I think Lou has been the behind the scenes has probably been the man with the bullseye on his chest.
Oh yes. And
they're trying to shoot him in the back.
Yeah, no, for sure, without a doubt. Because the thing that people forget, and it's like I was saying the other day, is that there's going to be a ton of people within the Pentagon, within the agencies, that might completely agree that disclosure needs to happen. They might completely agree that none of this stuff should get out, but they'll be so
50-50.
Yeah, but they'll be so mad about the break in protocol. They'll be so mad about the risk of the information that they'll go against him, even if they believe that information should go. And so it ends up creating more factions than just two. You know.
Yeah.
It's very challenging.
I don't think 2022 we see a lot of Lou Elizondo, especially after his book tour is done. I think he kind of.
Do you think that book comes out in 2022?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I wonder who's writing it. God, I hope it's not the person that wrote Bob Lazar's book. That book had chronological issues.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's and I have no prior knowledge to this, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's Leslie Kane.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Or I'll even throw another name out there. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Ralph Blumenthal.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, that would be good. That would be very interesting. That really would. That would be very, very interesting. The thing I find so fascinating about his book situation is that, contrary to what people think, he can't actually release anything in that book that he shouldn't release. and he can't actually release anything in that book that he hasn't already released. I mean, unless something becomes available like during publishing and they hold it and then publish it with the book or something like that, right? Like, I mean, all the regulations around what he can show and what he can't show are all beyond the book. And
Hey,
so the whole idea that he has this book coming out that's going to divulge all these secrets, it's a little.
This just came down. Hi, Zaxonite. Give me 2 seconds here. This just came down. This is from the Sun over in the UK.
Ooh. Check that out. Oh, wow.
That's
See,
a boomerang.
I love the ones that don't show symmetry. The ones that don't show symmetry
Look
to
at
me are
that.
so fascinating.
Look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
What? And see, the thing, there's so many questions like, is it coincidental? Oh, that was a military craft that was taking
What
that
is
photo.
that? Don't need that.
That was a military craft that took that photo.
That was Delta. The story goes it's an Airbus A320 filmed that over Georgia, not American Georgia, I believe.
Interesting. Wow. And you know, the thing I wonder so much about those situations is are they actually, do they actually have lights that are actually intentionally producing that color? Or are there objects on the vessel that are producing that kind of light because of the way our sunlight hits it, or because of the way our lights hit it? Like, are we seeing a energetic reflection of the material, or are we actually seeing luminosity being derived from the material itself?
I don't know. I do not know.
I get so frustrated. So rarely can I ever find answers to any of my questions. Mind-bogglingly frustrating. Not that I'm alone in this by any means, but just, you know, complaining with the masses.
I do not know, buddy. I do not know. You go have yourself a wonderful night with your daughter.
Yes. Gotta get her to sleep, maybe play some video games or something, have fun. It's Friday night. Yeah, but yeah, no, good show, Dave. It's been fun. And anything else I can do for you, bud?
I'm sorry?
Anything else I can do for you?
No, it's all good, buddy.
Cool.
I can
man.
take it
All
from
right.
here.
All right, good deal. All right, everyone have a great evening, and thanks so much for hanging out, and we do really appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow. Far out.
John, we
Take it
love
easy,
your
bud.
work, buddy. Thank you for being awesome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Oh, and thank you for passing it on from that radio guy. That was kind of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
problem.
night, everybody.
Good night. John Hudson, everybody. The fedora wearing John Hudson. There he is. Man on a mission. Hey, Fabster. Late night at the bingo halls, eh? Hey, Skip to Malou. What's happening? Zaxonite. I'm just editing. That's all I'm doing is editing. All right, get rid of that. Close that out. Oh, yeah. Good times. Oh, gotta do this. Oh, I did that already. All right. Any questions? There should be. Hi, Ivy's vlog. How are you? Welcome to our channel. Nick, there should be. I don't know. Should be able to take your credit card right there. I have no idea where I'm staying in Vegas. If you are coming to 100%, I need you guys to listen to me. If you are 100% coming to Vegas, I need you to send an email with your name to here with your size, because we are going to be doing grab bags for you. Okay. And everybody, the first 50 people who sign up that they are 100% coming to Vegas, April 22nd to 24th, we are going to be putting grab bags together for you. And we want to make sure that we have all the sizes, that we have everything ready as a thank you, as a gesture. And we're going to throw a bunch of stuff in there. I know the guys from UFO Garage are. I'm going to see about putting in an order for some Mighty Moose beard oil, and kind of go from there. So I put the email in the chat. So if you are coming to Vegas, confirm with us that you are going, put your name on there and your size. Okay. And I would greatly appreciate that. Let me go to my website and try and fix that for you. See what's going on. You go to the store, go get a coffee mug right there. Did you add it to your cart? Because when you add it to your cart, you then have to check out. So you go to view cart and then proceed to checkout. Did you do all that? Because I'm doing that and I'm getting a full billing thing right there after you hit the checkout, bud. Well, we love you, Jen A. I don't have any SOR guitar picks. I wish I did. Pam, no, I don't have any visors yet. Let me see if I can find one here. Printify. Hold on. I'm going just for you. Catalog. Accessories, hats. There we go. There are none. There are none. I am sorry. There are none. Wow, they actually added another hat on there. Surprised. All right, let's go like this. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I just got to do some editing. Almost done. No, there are no visors. I'm sorry, Pam. Jenny, what did you miss? I don't know. But I did get and I have it upstairs. I did get a lovely hair tie from Joe Monk for Christmas. Yes, Joe, it finally arrived because the mail is extra slow up here right now due to the highway situation south of me. Did you go to checkout, Nick? Because when you click the cart on the store and then hit checkout, it takes you to the billing information. Well, thank you, Nick. Appreciate that, man. I am honored. Gorgeous D Swagger, what's happening? Do they helicopter stuff up north? No, I'm not that far up north. There are certain towns way, way north of me that get airplanes flying in to drop off supplies. Ah, man. Yeah, I don't think he's going to give up one of his guitars. They're kind of expensive. I will message him right now. I gotta go to my messages. Hold on. I've sent them a private message. What's happening here? I can't enter right now. But maybe soon. That one is done. Pam, if you email me, I can send you one. I can send you one. All right, guys, remember that there is No, there is no Lynn Wallington this weekend. Okay, so you got Big Willie, you have Jim and Jade and John Hudson for the After Hours show, which starts at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern for Saturday and Sunday. I'll be back on Monday for the regular shift. And thank you tonight to Terry times 2 or Terry Thomas Smithy 5900, Jeremy and Daryl for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate it. Spooky Morales, time to take us home, guys. Oh, if you want to keep chatting, go over to the Paranormal Chop Shop. They have a show there. I may stop by there momentarily, so we'll see you guys.